Close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires and fears. Bring the mind to balance within, in the thoughts, in the vaults, in the memories, and the thoughts in one's mind, and put them aside. For today is the day of warning. Today is the day of freedom. Today is the day that Yahuwah has made, this Yom that Yahuwah has made. And we will rejoice and be glad and be in Simcha in it. Simcha in the word of the bar, the wisdom, the kukma from the beginning. Let what you've heard in the beginning abide in you. If what you've heard in the beginning abides in you, you are in the Father, you're in the Abba, and the Ab and Ben, and his Son. For this day, we acknowledge the one who made all things, the one who gives life, the one who takes away, the one who gives breath to all creation. For if he removed all breath from all creation, no flesh would survive, no basar. We give thanks. We come to him with thanksgiving. We come to him with praise with our lips and our thoughts and our minds fixed on his time, on his sequence, on his 364-day sequence that has been fixed in the beginning, that has been fixed on the fourth day of creation, that has been fixed before time was even was, that the ore and the light from the beginning may shine inside of man, that the ore and the light from the beginning may shine inside of every man, woman, and child, that the illumination of the thoughts of the mind may be follow in the footsteps of the Abba, to mimic his Son, that it may resonate inside of our thoughts and our mind continually. So as we move forward in love, compassion, forgiveness. We move forward in kindness, ahab, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, samuna, but we in no wise clear the guilty. For you're guilty until proven innocent. And if you're proven guilty, you have the right to shana, to change. You have the right to change, and you have the right to remain silent in humility until you're changed. And then once you're changed, once you're brought low, open your mouth and speak. And speak of the deliverance of the one who made all things. So we acknowledge Yahuwah Elohim, the one who made all the mountains, from the Andes, from the Barra pyramids. While we look at the thoughts and the minds of men, and the Ish, those who he made the Daleth, he made the Ba'ith, he made the Aleph, he made the Gamul, he made the Ha. He made the Ha. Behold the light, behold the orb. For this Yom, we acknowledge him, not in our own selves, in our own mind, but through the Ruach HaKodesh, through the gift of his Son Ben Yehusha and the blood that he shed. For strength is joined in the blood, that which is immediate. For when he formed him from the beginning, he sent his word into the earth to accomplish everything that it did. And it finished everything that it did. And it came to do. And now we sit and we allow the bar to come inside of us, that we may accomplish what he sent it in us to do. Today Yahuwah for another Yom. We say, Halal Yahuwah. Halal Yahuwah. In the Ben Yehusha's name. So if we move forward, we will move forward in insight, and wisdom, and kukla, and knowledge, and understanding, and out of our own will. So this is 2nd Ezra's Bith Azra 16:54. It says, Behold, Yahuwah knoweth all the works of men, Adam, human beings. So he knows everything that one does, their imaginations, their thoughts, and their heart, which spake but the word, let the earth be made. So he spake as the bar, he sent it from the highest Shamayim, came to the lowest earth, And he said, let the earth be made, and it was made. Let the Shamayim be made, and it was created. In his word were the stars made, and he knoweth the number of them. He searcheth the deep, and the treasures thereof. He hath measured the sea, and what it containeth. He hath shut the sea in the midst of the waters, and with his word hath he hanged the earth upon the waters. So when you look at his dabar has sound vibrational frequency, and that sound vibrational frequency holds the very land or arats that rises on the kug, the circle of the face of the deep. It holds it together. It holds everything together, the earth and everything in it, and the treasures thereof, and the sea. It holds it. Right? He has shut the sea in the midst of the waters, and with the word hath he hanged the arats, or the ara, upon the waters. He spreadeth out the Shamayims like a vault. Upon the waters hath he founded it. By the bar, by the sound vibrational frequency, he holds all 7 Shamayims, all Shamayims, the higher ethers. That's what Shamayim is, the higher ethers. And he holds it together. And he formed it. And he spread it out. It says, in the desert hath he made springs of water and pools upon the tops of the mountains. Right, when you go to the top of the mountains, where there's the Andes, K2 mountains, Himalayas, where there's the Appalachian mountains, right? He has pools of water up there, right? That they may flow down, even on top of Interlaken, or even at the highest peak in the world. He said that the flood may pour down from the high rocks upon the earth, right? So you allow water to flow down from a mountain. That water tends to be crystal clear, just like the rivers that flow upon the rocks. If you've ever seen a river in a mountain, the water is clear, it's moving water. So he made man and put his heart in the midst of the body, and gave him breath, life, and understanding. Right? So you look at Adam, you look at man, he put in his mind, his lave, in the midst of his body, he gave him breath. He gave him the Shama, the Ruach, he gave him the Ruach of life. And he gave him Binah, gave him understanding, gave him wisdom, Kukma. Verse 62, yea, the Ruach of the Almighty Elohim, which made all things, and searcheth out all hidden things in the secrets of the earth. Right? Surely he knoweth your inventions. Right? So you look at the Ruach of Yahuwah, Elohim, it made all things. It searcheth out all hidden things in the secrets of the earth. Can you do that? Can you search out all the secret things in the hidden parts of the earth? All the things you don't know? There's a lot of things man each don't know. The things that they covered up and the things that they blocked man from understanding. The flight patterns they keep you in, so you'll never actually see the other parts that they hide from you. But there's even more things greater than that man tries to keep in secret from man on earth, Adam, right? And the manipulation of man. This verse 63, surely he knoweth your inventions. So if he can do all that, sure, he can do all that, and sure he know your inventions, he know your mind, and what you think in your mind, in your hearts, in your lay. Today he knows, even them that sin, and would hide their sin. Like he can see straight through. He can see down to the deepest part. Like he says, the bars, like Abri says, the bar is quick and powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword. It sees all the way in the joints and the marrow, and it sees the thought and the intentions of the law or the labor. He do it all by his word. Guess what? Verse 64 says, therefore hath Yahuwah exactly searched out all your works. He done searched you. And he will put you all to shame. When he says put you all to shame, that means every single person on the planet Earth. He said, I'm going to put you all to shame. Even in the Shamayims who sin or who rebel against his word. He said, I'm going to put you all to shame. Okay. So this is the acts, the Nazarene acts of the Shalakim, the advantage of knowledge of the apostles. So we must, above all things, hasten to the knowledge of the truth, that as with a light kindled thereat, we may be able to dispel the darkness of errors. Right? When he created the world, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness over the face of the deep, people, you look at the Elohims who are in darkness, you look at the people in darkness, just like you see people are darkened today through transgression, darkened in their mind. They have no illumination. It hasn't illuminated. The light of the body is full of darkness. as Matthew 6 says. And if the whole body is darkness, he says, how great is that darkness? It's errors. Right? For ignorance, it says, that we may be able to dispel the darkness of errors. For ignorance, as we have said, is a great evil. But because it has no substance, it is easily dispelled by those who are earnest. Right? For ignorance is nothing else than not knowing what is good for us. Once knowing this, an ignorant perishes. Right? Therefore, the knowledge of the truth ought to be eagerly sought after. Shall be easily sought after, and shall be eagerly sought after, and no one can confer it except the Nabi or the prophet of truth. For this is the gate of life to those who enter, and the road of good works to going to the city of salvation. Right. So when we start looking at the ignorance, right, he said, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Right. Lack of knowledge. He said, you are destroyed. Why? Because the unseen beings and the other things that you have no idea about beat you up on a day-to-day basis. And you don't know how powerful you are. Right? So ignorance has to be destroyed. Because ignorance is nothing else than not knowing what is good. You don't know what's good and perfect. Because when you're in darkness, you're in error. So, in light of all of that, it says ODE Shaloma, ODE. It says open your hearts to exaltation of Yahuwah. Why? So you won't be ignorant anymore. That you won't be in darkness and in errors. And let your love, Ahab, abound from your heart to your lips. Right? In order to bring forth fruits to Yahuwah, a Kadush life. A life that's pleasing in his sight. A life that's pleasing to him. And to speak with watchfulness in his light. Why? Because you speak with watchfulness in his light, you're not in darkness and errors. Right? Stand and be established, you who were once brought low. You who are once brought low. You who were in silence, it says, you who were in silence, speak, for your mouth has been opened. Right? He gave a mouth to his creation. He gave a mouth to the things that he's given, he's created. He even gave a mouth to the animals. Right? It says, you who were despised, from henceforth be raised. For righteousness has been raised. It's been raised. For the right hand of Yahuwah is with you, and he will be your helper. And Shalom was prepared for you before what may be your war. So you look at this war today with these spirits. You look at the war today with the establishments and the kings and the rulers and all the things that you see in the world. You look at the things that are done to people on a day-to-day basis. Like you're in the middle of a war with yourself, your flesh, your desires, your wants in this world. And if one is not equipped with the knowledge and understanding, one will fall into temptation. So this is Wisdom of Solomon, Kukma Shli Shaloma 12 through 25. It says, wisdom Kukma is glorious and never fadeth away. Yea, she is easily seen of them that love her, and found of such as seek her. Right? He said we got to seek out this truth and this knowledge eagerly. There had to be a sense of urgency. Like you have these things in competitions and sports, they say move with a sense of urgency. Why? Because the sense of urgency determines your production and your performance when it's time to play in the real game. Right? Verse 13 says, she prevented them that desire her, in making herself first known unto them. Right? Whoso seeketh her early shall have no great travail. So what time are you waking up? What time are you waking up? It says a virtuous woman rises before the sun rises. Right? A Kayil army. Right? They up. Right? Like watchmen. like watchfulness unto prayer, right? They up, right? He said, whoso seeketh early shall find no travail, for you shall find her sitting at his doors, right? You're going to find them sitting at the tent door. You're going to find them ready to serve. You're going to find them like Rebecca, like Mashah, like Adam, ready to serve in the gun. You'll find them at like the virgin, sitting at the door waiting for him to open so he can receive him in the house. Right? It says to think, therefore, upon her is perfection of wisdom. Thinking, right? What is one thinking about? If you want to perfect something, you got to continually think on it. If you have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you have to continually think on it. Or Haggah, or Makashaba, your thoughts. Because if you don't, you can't perfect it. It's not going to be perfected in your mind. So you got to continually think on it. Think on it when you sit in the house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise up, at midnight, at the cock crowing, right? At these times of the day, without ceasing. That's how you're going to perfect it. Right? Nobody perfects a theory or a rocket ship without thinking on it constantly. They sit on the board and they sit and write equations all day. They write the actual hypotenuse of the theories, and also they write the actual equations continually, trying to figure it out, trying to perfect what's in their mind. And these are the same exact things when one is perceiving the wisdom and kukma of Yahushua Mashiach and the knowledge of Yahuwah, who sits in the highest Shamayim, above the 10th Shamayim. Right? It says, to think therefore upon her is perfection of wisdom, and whoso watches for her shall quickly be without care. For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showeth herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every single thought. Right? Every makashabat, in every thought, in anything that one speaks or thinks, wisdom, kukma, knowledge or understanding, it becomes every thought. Because everything you see, there is wisdom in it. There's wisdom in a glass of water that vibrates. There's wisdom in strings on an instrument. There's wisdom when the sun rises out of 6th portal. There's wisdom even in the sky when it turns blue, then it turns purple, then it turns pink, and then it goes dark. There's wisdom in darkness. When you have kukma and wisdom in every thought, you'll never run out of things to talk about. There's always something to talk about. There's always something to think on. There's always something to think on in your mind. So Mashali Proverbs 8 through 11. It says, all the words of my mouth are righteous. They are Sadiq or Sadiqa. Right? It says, there is nothing twisted or crooked in them. And Yahuwah, everything that comes out of Yahuwah's mouth is nothing twisted. There's nothing crooked in them. He's not trying to deceive nobody with anything. It says, they are all straight to him who understands. Right? Everybody who understands the truth, trust in the one who given the truth. Yahuwah. And has been Yahushua. That's basically how it works. And write to those who find knowledge. So you got to seek this knowledge out, just like we read in Nazarene Shalakim, Apostles. He said, you got to seek this out eagerly. Eagerly. Take my instructions instead of silver, and knowledge rather than gold. Why? Because if you don't, you're going to find you putting silver and gold above this intellect and knowledge, and above Yahuwah and everything else. And then the archons, and the spirits, and the dials, and the S&P, and the charts going to have control over you. They're going to have control over your mind. Right? The Bitcoin charts and all these things have control over yourself. You're like, what's going on? People have no idea. It controls you, right? For wisdom is better than jewels, and all that you may desire cannot compare with kokma, wisdom. Right? No matter what jewel it is, it could be the 12 jewels that sit on the breastplate. He said, what made it? What made the actual breastplate with the jewels and the stones on it? What made these things? What made these things? What gives a person the wisdom to make a garment, to sew? Like, why would you put these things above wisdom, knowledge, understanding? What gives a person that type of wisdom? Wisdom make a person, man, and woman's hair to grow. It makes their hair to grow. It makes every single cell go through a renewal every 7 years. It'll do that. Right? And all that you may desire cannot compare to her. So the word for crooked is akish or ikesh. Right? And it says distorted, false, crooked, forward, perverse. All the words of Yahuwah's mouth, there is nothing distorted, false, crooked, or perverse. Yahuwah says, I am not a man that I should lie. I don't tell Kazab and Shakir. And neither I'm a man that's going to change his mind. What he sent out of his mouth is going to accomplish what I said is going to send it out to do. So the word for straight is nakuak or nakuak, straightforward, equitable, right? Correct, integrity, uprightness, innocence. Innocent until proven guilty. And then when you're proven guilty, you can make your argument in court and you can scream and you can yell and you can do everything you possibly can. But at the end of the day, you're still guilty. Right? It's just like being in a courtroom and a judge gives a verdict, and then the defendant starts screaming and yelling. I ain't do that. I'll still do it. Right? Still haven't gotten it. Right? So all the words of his mouth is all straightforward, equitable, correct, integrity, innocence. It's all innocent when you follow it the way it needs to. So Tahalim Psalms 111 and 10. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, Kukma. And all those who practice it, I practice being afraid of my Abba, my father and mother in the house. I'm a child. I'm a son. I'm a God, but I'm a son in a human body, experiencing this world through a human form. So when I'm in this world and I'm standing here, I'm afraid of my parents. You gotta be afraid of your mother and your father. I don't know how many of y'all grew up, or anybody grew up, afraid of their parents. Right? I had some parents. Yeah, you'd be afraid, right, to go against what they say. Right? So the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, and those who practice it have a good understanding. You have a good understanding in life. Good understanding. He said you got to seek this out eagerly. Right? Its founders such that seek wisdom. It says his praise endures forever. Always. Right? So wisdom Kukma Shri Shaluma, or wisdom of Solomon 7:6-14. For all men have one entrance into life, and the light going out. Right? When I came into this world, I came in through a woman. Right? When you become born again, you get immersed into the water gate, in the water port, and you come up a new person. Right? You come into this life a new person, and you leave out, and the light going out. You're gonna go through this. You're going through a portal. Whether you come through a matrix of a woman, and you never experience that water portal, or going through the gateway of the water, you're still going out of a portal. You're still leaving out of here through another world, and traveling to a higher state of being. Whether you're good or evil, there are a higher state of beings that are evil, and there are a higher state of beings that are good. And what you do in this life will determine if you're going to be an evil spirit or a good one. It's really that simple, right? It says, wherefore I prayed and understanding was given to me. I called upon all Yahuwah, and the Ruach of Kukma, wisdom, came to me, right? So you start looking at it, searching it out. You got to search it out. He said, I preferred wisdom, her before scepters and thrones. I prefer her before a seat as a mayor or a senator or a congressman, or the seat of the United Nations, or the Attorney General. I sought wisdom out before more than any type of rulership position, whether it's over Kush or Ethiopia or the ruler of the Yahudim or Yasharal itself, right? Or any type of household rulership or anything like that. Rulership over a woman as a righteous man or anything. You got to seek out wisdom before all that. Wisdom and knowledge and understanding. Because if you got the scepter and the throne and you ain't got no wisdom and knowledge and understanding, I assure you. But it's so easy to be darkened, right? And he said, I prefer her before scepters and thrones, esteemed riches. Nothing is a comparison to her. So you think about esteemed riches. The richest man in the world, a billionaire, a trillionaire, a quintillionaire, a sextillionaire. Right? He said, before esteemed riches, right? They'll post you in Forbes magazine. But he said, I sought it out before that. More than that. Preferred it more than that. It says, neither I compared her to any precious stone, because all gold in respect to her is as little sand, and silver shall be counted to her as clay. Right? I loved her above health and beauty. Right? Everybody wants to be beautiful. Everybody wants to have healthy life. But let you be in a situation where you're in a transition time. Right? It says, and chose to have her instead of light. For the ore that cometh from her never goeth out. Wisdom, Kukma, right? Because the light that we look at that coming out of 6 was made on the 4th day of creation, when time actually started. Before that, there was only one light, and that light never goeth out. Shamayim is my throne, the earth is my footstool. What house will you build for me? He said, Shamayim and earth will pass away, but the bar will never pass away. It never goeth out. Verse 11 says, all good things together came to me with her, and innumerable riches is in her hands. Right? And I rejoiced in them all, because wisdom goeth before them. And I knew not that she was the mother of them. Right? She's the mother of all these things. I literally came out from it. So you think about all these things that people get in this life from their mother and their father. He's like, man, wisdom Kukma came out from her, from out the mother, and gave birth to all these things that I desire and want to own and want to be and esteem. Right? So you start looking at these things. He said, honor your mother and your father. People not understanding how valuable that is. Right? Remember we talked about before, don't put these things above human beings. Most of all, don't put it above Yahuwah and his wisdom and Kukma has been Yahushua Mashiach. Right. Verse 13 says, I learned diligently and do communicate her liberally. I do not hide her riches. For she is a treasure unto men that never faileth, which they that use become the friends of Yahuwah, Elohim, because being commended for the gifts, right? These are gifts that come from learning. Right? You gotta learn. You're gonna learn till you leave it. You're gonna continue to learn. You're gonna continue to learn. You should continue to learn before you leave here. Or if you say, I'm gonna get to 25, I'm gonna stop learning. Then you ain't gonna be a wise individual in your 30s. I'm gonna get to 40. I'm gonna get to 35. I'm gonna stop learning. Well, you ain't gonna be a wise individual in your 40s. I'm going to be 40 and I'm going to stop learning. You ain't going to be a wise individual in your 50s. I'm going to stop learning when I'm 50. You ain't going to be a wise individual when you're 60. And so on and so forth. I'm going to stop learning when I'm 80. You're not going to be a wise individual when you're 125. You're going to always be learning. And if Yahuwah extends your life past 125, you're going to stop learning when you're 125. You extend your life to 300 years, you'd be like, you're not going to be a wise individual at 300 years, and people are going to be trying to come to you. You be like, how long you been living? 300 years, and you ain't got no kukma, no wisdom, no knowledge, understanding to give them. Open your eyes. So this is Wisdom of Shaluma, Kukma Sri Shaluma 3, 9 through 13. So they that put their trust in him shall understand the truth. You'll understand it. It's not that hard. You just gotta trust in Yahuwah and lean not to your own understanding in all your ways. Whatsoever you do in word or deed, whatsoever you do, whether you eat or drink or whatsoever you do, do all in the name of Yahushua and Yahuwah to the glory of Yahuwah, right? And you will always understand the truth. And you trust in him. It'll be healing to your shore, your umbilical cord. You'll have perfect health. It says, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For Khan, or grace and mercy, is to his Kadashim, and he hath care for his elect. He does. Right? People have love and seek it in love. They abide with him in love. And then you start looking at Khan and mercy. Right? If you have mercy, he'll judge you, give you mercy. Verse 10 says, but the ungodly or unrighteous shall be punished according to their own imaginations, my own thoughts, which have neglected righteousness, because righteousness is exalted right now, and forsaken Yahuwah. You don't forsook Yahuwah. For whoso despises wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, or he is angry, or he is not just miserable, he is angry. He or she is angry. He or she is miserable, right? He or she is envious. He or she is full of strife. He or she is full of fornication, right? And all these things. He or she is full of adultery, right? He says, and their hope is vain, and their labor is unfruitful. So you can still prosper, but it still will be vain and unfruitful. All is vanity if you do all that. And their works unprofitable. It's not going to bring any profit to nobody else. You doing all that, you're going to be like, I got Kukum wisdom and understanding. He said you're going to be unprofitable. It says their wives are foolish, right? Because the head, the Ish, and the man, the Ish supposed to have, a righteous Ish is supposed to have wisdom and knowledge. He said, then their wives won't be foolish, their children wicked, and their offspring cursed. But being that the world is the way it is, and these people, these teachers, these pastors, or whoever you want to call yourself, and all these people out here teaching, they ain't teaching no wisdom and Kukum and all understanding. They teaching everything that's opposite. They're not giving knowledge and understanding and elevating the thought process. Right? And guess what happens? The wives are foolish, the children wicked, and the offspring is cursed. Generational curses. Over and over and over and over and over again. He's going to keep repeating the same thing. We should get together. We got to talk. We got to do this. We got to do this and this and that. You're going to repeating it every single year. But it's time for elevation, right? So here we go. This is the fear of Yahuwah. Sirach 1, 11 through 21. The fear of Yahuwah is honor and glory and kabod and gladness and a crown of rejoicing. That's what it is. That's the fear of Yahuwah. The fear of Yahuwah maketh a merry heart. People want to be miserable. They have some of the most, you hear some of the most miserable things in this world. He said, stop fearing Yahuwah. It says a merry heart and give it simcha, joy and gladness and long life. Whoso fear of Yahuwah, it shall go well with him at the last, and he shall find favor at the day of his death. Don't you want that? People say, don't you want that? The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, Rashid, and shall continue. It's the beginning of it, and it shall be, and it was created with the faithful in the womb. Faithful in the womb. Humble yourself like a child. You'll be healing to your umbilical cord. Desire the sincere milk of the word that you may grow. That you may be full age and be able to discern between Taub and Ra. Good and evil. Guess what? It says, she hath built an everlasting foundation with men, and shall continue with their seed. Right? So whoever comes out on the seed of the Ish, and you got wisdom and understanding, it's going to continue on. It says, the fear of Yahuwah is fullness of wisdom, and filleth men with her fruits. She filleth all their houses with things desirable, and garners with her increase. The fear of Yahuwah is a crown of wisdom, maketh shalom and a perfect health to flourish. Right? It makes perfect health to flourish, both which are the gifts of Yahuwah. It enlarges the rejoicing that love him. Why? The gifts from learning, intellect, knowledge, understanding, elevation, higher vibrational frequency thoughts, riding on the wings of the wind, riding above hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, criticism, pride, adultery, fornication, lying. Like riding upon the wings of the wind. Dissension, rivalries, quarreling. All these things are on a lower level frequency. And that's what Satan want to keep you at. That's why he purposely does things in the market. Why he say he crashes the market? Because there's a reason why he does it. Because he's trying to spark your anger. He's trying to spark things inside of you. Grief. He's trying to spark miserable grief. Why? Because it's going to allow him to have more control over your mind. And who gives him the power to do it? Only who allows him to do that? The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. Rashid. Right. So this is verse 17. She filleth all her house with things desirable, and garners with her increase. Verse 18. The fear of Yahuwah is the crown of wisdom, and maketh peace, perfect health to flourish. both which are the gifts of Yahuwah, and enlarges their rejoicing that love him. Wisdom raineth down skill and knowledge and understanding, right? Standing and exalting them to honor that hold her fast. The root of wisdom is the fear of Yahuwah, and the branches thereof are long life. I am the vine, you are the branches. People say, I want to bear fruit. He said, the fruit of the lips. What do you mean? Singing? He said, how am I going to sing and make song? How am I going to open my mouth and speak and bring pleasant songs? Wisdom, kukma, knowledge, understanding. Right? It says the root of wisdom is the fear of Yahuwah, and the branches thereof a long life. The fear of Yahuwah driveth away sins, and where it is present, it turneth away wrath. It drives away sin. Sin, start fearing it. Right? So this is the Apocalypse of Shadrach, pseudepigrapha Old Testament. Right? It says, Shadrach said to him, it was by your will that Adam was deceived, my master. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, right? My master, you commanded your Malachim to worship Adam. But he who was first among the Malachim disobeyed your order and did not worship him. And so you banished him because he transgressed your commandment and did not come forth to worship the creation of your hands. If you loved man, why did you not kill the devil, Satan? All right, people want to know, why he's still here? The artificer of all iniquity. He the creator. That's all he does. Who can fight against an invisible spirit? He enters the hearts of men like a smoke. Kind of like when you burn incense. You ever seen that smoke that be going up in the air? Right? He said, man, he'll enter you just like that. That smoke. You can't even see it. It just get inside of you. Right? The smokeless fire, right? That's what they say. It says, and teaches them all kinds of sins. So he'll come in your mind like smoke, teach you all types of stuff. Like, you think about that. You sitting there, and next you know, he come in like a smoke, and he fill your mind with all a bunch of tea. He start teaching you stuff. Start taking your mind on places. He be like, man, he teaching me. He say, teach him all kinds of sin. He even fights against you, the immortal all Yahuwah. And so what can, he even fights against Yahuwah. He like, ha. He says, and so what can pitiful man do against him? He fight against you, Yahuwah. He tried to fight against you. He said, what can pitiful man do against him? He said, you have mercy, master. He said, yet have mercy. He said, master, and destroy in punishment. Otherwise, receive me also with the sinners. Right? So he asked me, he said, yet have mercy, master, and destroy punishment. Otherwise, receive me also with the sinners. For if you will not be merciful with sinners, where are your mercies, and where is your compassion, of Yahuwah? O Yahuwah. Your compassion of Yahuwah, your compassion, right? And Yahuwah Elohim said to him, be it known to you that everything which I commanded man to do was within his reach. I made him wise and heir of Shamayim and earth, and I subordinated everything under him, and every living thing flees from him and from his face. Having received my gifts, however, he became a stranger and an adulterer and a sinner. So all the gifts he got from learning, all the wisdom, knowledge, understanding, he received it. And he got it. And he was able to name the animals. He was able to name Kaur. He was able to do all these things. He was able to do a whole bunch of things. But he said, they received all my gifts, but then they became a sinner, an adulterer. He said, tell me, what sort of a father will give an inheritance to his son? And having received the money, the son goes away, leaving his father, and becomes an alien or a stranger, and in the service of strangers. The father then, seeing that the son has forsaken him and gone away, darkens his heart, and going away, he receives his wealth and banishes his son from his kabod, because he forsook his father. He said, they that forsake Yahuwah, they that despise wisdom and nurture, what do? They are miserable. They forsake your righteous and Yahuwah. He says, he received his wealth and banishes his son for his kabod, because he forsook his father. How is it that the wondrous and jealous Al Yahuwah has given everything to him, but he, having received them, became an adulterer and a sinner? Right? You start looking at the things that he gives. Right? You start looking at these things. Right? All the things that man has created, all the wisdom and knowledge and understanding, he said, but they all forsook Yahuwah. They forsook my wisdom and understanding. He said, how you going to fight against an invisible spirit? Man, Satan even fight against you. How man going to fight? How you going to win? He said, don't become an adulterer, a sinner, and don't do that. Don't leave your father. That's how you going to do it. But when you forsake him, you forsake Yahuwah and wisdom and nurture, there ain't no way you're going to win. Right? So it's the Aramaic Palestinian Targums, Bereshit. And all Yahuwah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and all the imagery and thought of his heart was only evil every day. And it repented Yahuwah in his word that he made man upon the earth, and he passed judgment upon them by his word. And there was repentance before Yahuwah in his word that he had made man upon the earth. And he said and judged in his mind, right? And Yahuwah said, I will abolish by my word Adam, human beings, whom I have created upon the face of the earth, from cattle to reptile to fowls of the Shamayim, because I repented in my word that I have made them. But Nuach found favor before Yahuwah. So you start looking at, by his word he casts judgment. By his debar, his words that he speaks, his sound vibrational frequency, by him speaking, the things he does in his own mind, he blotted it out. Right? And created in Yahuwah's image, you have that same ability. He said, how you going to fight against an invisible spirit? He said, man, he even fight against you. He come up in like a smoke. And he teaches them all types of sin. You were like, by my word, I'm going to blot this evil out. It's real simple. Right? This Bereshit 6 and 5, ESV. It says, Yahuwah saw that the wickedness of human beings and man was great in the earth, and every intention and thought of his heart was only evil continually. And Yahuwah regretted that he had made man on the earth. I regret I even made this commitment. I regret I even accomplished this. You ever had something you accomplished and you see how evil it was in your life and what it brought to you in your life, and you're like, man, and you blot it out, you're like, man, I wish I'd never even accomplished even making this thing. Right? He said that every intention and thought of his heart was only evil continually, and Yahuwah regretted that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him to his mind, in his heart. So when are you going to be, people say, when are you going to be grieved in your mind for all the things that one has created in their mind, in your life, that you still, people say, you got still hidden as a treasure chest somewhere, waiting to bring it out. So when are you going to be grieved with it? So Yahuwah said, I will blot out man whom I have created from the face of the land, man, animals, creeping things, and birds of the Shamayim. For I am sorry that I have made them. But Nuach found favor in the eyes of Yahuwah. Right? So what has found favor in your mind, in your life, that you could keep? And the things that you don't need, when you going to blot it out, when you going to get rid of it? It could be, people say, why? It could be old things. People say, what do you mean? It ain't just thoughts. It could be old clothes. It could be old pens. It could be anything that you can think of that may be old that one doesn't need. Right? That one doesn't need. Right? There's a lot of things that one doesn't need in this life. Right? The world brings you excess. The world gives you excess of things, and they don't. And you don't. If you say, "I'm still accumulating," why is all these things stacking up? And you'd be like, "Man, I got a lot of stuff," and you'd be like, "No, I have to get rid of some stuff." Right? And that even goes hand in hand in your thoughts. Right? So, word for imagination of man's heart is lav. Every imagination of his inner man, mind, will, heart, understanding, which means Satan going up in there like a smoke in all human beings, and he teaching them all types of wickedness. Who can fight against an invisible ruach, an invisible spirit, a Kazab, a Shakir, a lying tongue, teaching you sin? Who can do that? He said, every imagination in the midst of things, heart of man, right? His mind, his knowledge, his thinking. Remember, he said, what are you doing? What are you thinking about? Reflection, memory. Even people reflect. Memory, inclination, resolution, determination. People say, why they keep recounting the same evil over and over again in the world and having days for it? What it do? Every time they bring it there, it stirs up all the other anger and bitterness and resentment in other people. And then they keep talking and they talking. Everybody got all this evil going in their mind. He teach that. It's an inclination, resolution, determination, will, conscience, heart, seat of appetites. They control your appetites through the restaurant, the food, the chemicals that they do inside of the restaurants. And then the chemicals they make in a lab to make you come back and eat their food. Seat of appetite, seat of emotions and passions, manipulating your emotions and passions, putting you in fear. Fear of them, Yahweh, of humans. You're fearing Yahweh, you're feeling humans. It says seat of courage. Right? Every imagination and thought, all the imaginations of their inner man, their courage and their memory, and all these things are evil. So the word for thought is makashaba. Thought, device, plan, purpose, intention, invention. Every invention, thought, purpose, plan is evil. Makashaba. Right? The word for evil is ra. Every imagination and thought is ra. Bad, disagreeable, malignant, unpleasant, unhappy, misery. Because they despise wisdom and nurture. They forsook Yahuwah and allowed Satan to come in like a smoke, get inside their nostrils and teach them all kinds of wickedness in your mind. That's not a human being, people. That's an unseen ruach, an invisible ruach. They have movies called The Invisible Man. You can't even see it. It's not a human being. Satan is not a human being. He can shapeshift and do all these things into a human. He can jump in a human, but he ain't no human. Wake up. He says, displeasing, kind, bad, worse than worse, unhappy, right? Evil, hurtful, unkind, misery, injury, calamity, miserable. People say, why Yahushua was despised, a man acquainted with grief? Because you were grief. He was trying to take that stuff away from you. He was made to take away sin. That's why he was here. He was here to destroy the works of Satan. All these things, who made you in that state? Who put you in that mind? Right? It says evil continually. Ra. Yeah, Ra. You know how they say the Egyptian god Ra? Mizraim god Ra? Ain't the Mizraim god Ra. It's not the Mizraim god. They just worship evil. But it ain't the Mizraim God. It was here before the flood. Before Mizraim came out of Cush. Before Cushites even came to existence. Before Ham even had a son. Ra was here before that. Evil was here before that. Right? All the things that one has been told. Everything that one has been told. Right. So Psalms 119:78. Let the Zav, or the proud, the arrogant, right, be put to shame. Right. We start looking at proud and arrogant. Put to shame. Because we just read, Yahuwah gonna put all y'all to shame. He searched out all your work. Surely I know all your thoughts. Well, I already know what you're thinking. He said, I already know. Because they have wronged me with falsehood, shakir, lies. The world has. The teachers have. The instructors, like they say. The evil shepherds. Right? They all have lies. As for me, I will meditate on your precepts. So what you meditating on? He said to think there upon her is wisdom. To think there upon her, you'll be without care. To think there upon her is long life. Think about what you're thinking about. Let those who fear me turn to me, that they may know your testimonies. Yahushua said, I am the good shepherd. All that came before me are thieves and robbers. You stole it. You all stole my glory, my kabod. You stole it. Yahushua came to say, you stole my stuff. Y'all a bunch of thieves and robbers. Keep that in mind as we move forward. So that word for proud and arrogant is Zad or Zaid, right? Or Zaydi, right? Arrogant, proud, insolent, presumptuous, the arrogant. Arrogant men or women, presumptuous, proud, arrogant people. He said, I'm going to put you all to shame. I search out all your thoughts. I can see where they, he said, dig through the wall like he told you, Kazab. I did dig through the wall and see what they do. I'm going to put you all to shame. Yahuwah can see in the metaverse of your mind and all the worlds that one has created and all the things that one has hidden. He could see straight through into your inward man. He said, I'm going to put you all to shame. So the word for shame is bush. He said, I'm going to put you all to bush. To be put to shame, to be ashamed, to be disappointed, to feel shame, to be ashamed, to be, it says, to be pale. I'm going to put you all to death. Remember, he created Adam red, black, and white. You go to the book of Kazab, red, black, white, and then you got pale. What do you mean pale? And on him, the writer was death. He said, I'm going to put you all to bush, to shame, to act shamefully, to bring shame, disappointed. Right, bush. Right, the word for meditate is sikah or siak. When you look at shiak or mashiach, right? You got the part of the word mashiach without a mem. But it say meditate, muse, commune, to meditate, right? To sing, right? He said, I'm gonna meditate on your precepts. Why? He said, hence, pray, speak, talk, consider, meditate. Right, I'm a siak. Right? When you start thinking about the anointed, Mashiach. Right? You start looking at him, let that be your meditation, your communing, your singing, your meditation of his testimonies. Right? So the word for fear is Yareh. Fearful, morally afraid. Fear. Right? We talk about fear of Yahuwah. Right? He said that fear you, Yahuwah, let them turn to me. Fear, morally respect Yahuwah. You got to morally respect him. It says reverent to be what? One of the words is reverent. It's a feeling of showing deep, solemn respect. How do you know? When you see somebody respect their father, you say, man, okay, you should respect your heavenly, your Shamayim father. Right? But you start looking at it, fearing, Yareh. Not taking Yahuwah's name in vain. Be like, Yareh, Yareh, Yareya. Right? I'm Yareya, but yet you do everything opposite of your father, which means you taking his name in vain. Right? So the word for statutes is pakud, or parkud, right? It's mandate, commandment, precept, statutes. It was a mandate for Satan or for the beings to bow down to Adam, the commandment. And they refused. He said, why would I do that? What is man that you are mindful of him? You made him a little lord in the Malak key, but you crown him with kabod. Satan, like, I'm not going to be under your feet. Right? So you actually think today, this invisible Ruach, why do you think he's teaching you wickedness? Because it worked since the beginning. It's been working since the beginning. Why would he stop? Why would he come in like a smoke and get inside your mind, come in your nostrils? Y'all be doing that hookah If you don't know that stuff, but you don't know what's mixed in there, you go ahead and inhale it. You don't know what's in there. Man, he said Satan come in just like that. Get inside. Don't even know. Right. So the word for testimony is Aydah. Right? I'm going to meditate in your testimonies. Right? You look at this word Aydah. We're not talking about the AI technology. We're talking about Aydah. We're not talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about Aydah. Right? They can name a robot Aydah, but it don't matter. I'm going to meditate on your testimony, your witness. Right? Your testimony, your witness. Your laws, your divine testimonies. Right? What is divine testimony? This is a form of testimony, right? This is a solemn declaration by the disciples. It is an authentication for those things they know it to be fact. It is fact. All you gotta do is walk outside. Go see all the things you have created. Just go breathe the air. Go look at all the things. You would be without excuse. Go look up in the Shamayim at night. When you see the yard, the Kufu beam, and all the things he created. Just go look at it. And you will see for yourself. You'll see the knowledge and understanding that's there. Right? You will see it. Right? So this is Mark 13:32. It says, but concerning the day or hour, no one knows, not even the Malachim, the angels in Shamayim, nor the Son, but the Abba only. Be on guard and keep awake, for you do not know when the time will come. Right? It is like a man going on a journey. And when he leaves home, he puts his servants in charge, each with his work, and commands the doorkeeper to stay awake. Therefore, stay awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come. Even in the evening, when the sun goes down the sixth portal, or at midnight, when it's darkness, right? When the rooster crows before the sun rises, or in the morning when the sun rises. They call it golden hour. Lest he come suddenly and find you asleep. He's going to find you asleep. Like people say, I need to wake up. I need to stay up all night. That's not what he's talking about. And he said, and what I say to you, I say to all, stay awake. Stay awake. Right? So Testament of Don or Dan, 12 patriarchs. You can look up Don, it's H1835. 12 Patriarchs chapter 1 says, besides all these, there is an eighth spirit of sleep, with which is brought about the trance of nature, and the end of death. With the spirits are mingled the spirits of air. The first, the spirit of fornication, is seated in the nature and the senses. So you got sleep and air, right? It says the second is a ruach of insatiableness in the belly, right? You think about fornication, you think about that sex outside of marriage, that sex that's doing anything sexually perverse, whether it's incest or any type of things, molestation, all that stuff, it's adultery, in the nature and the senses. And who teaches that? He come in like a smoke. Who can fight against an invisible ruach? He teaches all wicked things. The second is the ruach of insatiableness in the belly, insatiableness, impossible to satisfy, insatiable appetite, insatiable hunger. They be having them eating shows where they be eating like 1,000 hot dogs, or eating like 1,000 bunch of food and filling their body filling with gluttony, right? Allowing their body fornication, right? Insatiableness in the belly. People that can't have enough of that. It ain't just that; it's also in the belly, right? And it continues to keep going. Right? So you look at verse 26 as the third is the ruach of fighting in the liver and the gall. Now you look at strife. You look at fighting. Right? You look at fornication. You look at insatiable in the belly, can't have enough. And then you start looking at fighting. Why? Because these all work together. And then you have fighting in the liver and the gall. Present your body a living sacrifice, but you got fighting in your gall and your liver. You got demons. Right? These are all spirits and demons. The fourth is the ruach of obsequiousness and chicanery, that through officious attention one may be fair in seeming. Right? So you want to meet, look, you got it all together. I got a nice big suit on with a tie. I got a nice big building with a sign that got a Yahudim or Jews or or some big congregation, or some big television series and cameras and all these things, right? You want to make yourself look like you got it all together, like you may look fair, like you may look beautiful, something that's attractive. So obsequiousness is obedient or attentive in excessive or servile degree, right? To do what? To use trickery to achieve political, financial, or legal purpose, right? You look at all these things that people do in the world, right? Deceit, trickery, like all these things take place in the spirit of sleep and error, right? All this is the spirit of sleep and error. The fifth is the ruach of pride. So you start getting down those areas and you start getting a little feisty. You start hearing these things and you're fighting. You got the spirit of fighting and rise up in your liver. Now your legal purpose, your financial, political agenda is now being exposed, and now you got a little pride. Now you're all arrogant and boastful about your evil. You get arrogant, and now that's the other part of you. That's the other part of the spirit. It's pride. Now you get boastful and arrogant, right? And that happens because that's that part of yourself that has to be destroyed. That's that part of yourself that rises up. Verse 29, the sixth is this ruach of lying. Then you start lying to yourself. And who's the father of lies? Who's teaching you to lie to yourself? Who's teaching you that? He come in like a smoke in your nose. He come like a smoke. He teach you all type of sin. He said, now you start lying. And he said, in perdition and jealousy to practice deceits and concealments. Now you start concealing things from the kindred and friends. Now you start concealing everything because you don't want nobody to know. You be like Saul shooting. Saul had the evil spirit. They said, man, the evil spirit troubling Saul, and Saul didn't deny it either. But you have some people say, nah, you know what? I ain't got it. Right, and then you have verse 30 says, the seventh is the ruach of injustice, improper judgment, with which are thefts and acts of rapacity. They'll do like Yahushua said. He said, stay away. What I say unto all, he said, man, make sure you ain't sleep. Because this is the spirit of sleep and error. We just talked about with these Nazarene of the Shalakim. It talks about error and ignorance. Right? So we look at spirit of injustice. It says, with which are thefts and acts of rapacity. Not rapacity. Right? We're talking about that a man may fulfill the desires of his heart, his mind. For injustice worketh together with other spirits by taking of gifts. So all these things, they be having these gifts, they lay at the altar, like in congregations and places, they lay at the altar. Man, these are all demons that you're giving praise to. They're all working together, right? Putting your bribes up there, putting the money up there, doing all these things. These are all spirits of error and sleep. These ain't the gifts that come from learning. These come from the gifts from humans. They give you things so you can not give them proper judgment and justice. You look at them and be like, man, I don't want to lose that money. I don't want to lose that favor. I don't want to lose that check he was getting ready to write me next week, but he just committed some sin yesterday. And I don't want to tell him. All these things blind the mind. These are all taught. These are all spirits. It says the desires of the heart. It says for injustice works together with the other spirits and taking of gifts. Right? So rapacity is aggressive greed. Aggressively greedy. Right? That means you forcing people to give you money. You forcing people to give you tithe money. You forcing people to, you say you don't give, you forcing them, telling that they got to give you something. Right? These are all spirits of sleep and error. Yahushua said, stay awake. Lest you allow Satan to come in you like a smoke and teach you all type of sin. Then who can fight against an invisible ruach? If you're doing all these things, there ain't no way you can fight against him. Ain't no way. So, verse 31 says, and with all these, the spirit of sleep is joined, which is that of error and fantasy. It's all error, the spirit of error. And so perishes every young man darkening his mind. You are dark. The light of the body is the eye. But if it be darkness, how great is that darkness? Now you dark in the mind from the truth. You dark from the truth. and not understanding the Torah of Yahuwah. Now you done forsook Yahuwah, you forsook the righteous, you're darkening your mind, and you got about 9 spirits, demons running around teaching you all types of things and working together inside your body. It says, nor obeying the admonition of their fathers, as befell me also in my youth. So now you hate the fathers, you hate the things that you don't even heed the warnings. These are just warnings. Again and again and again and again. You ever got beat? You ever had a father, Abba, who beat you because you did something wrong? He kept beating you over and over again. You'd be like, man, why he keep beating me over and over again? And they'd be speaking what they say. Didn't I tell you not to do that? Didn't I tell you not to do that? Right? They keep beating you over and over again. You be going in a circle. Like sometimes you get hit so many times you go around in a circle, and you be going around in a circle, and they just grabbing your arm, be spinning you around while they hitting you. Right? Like all these things, you start looking at it. So this is Yeshayahu 29:9. It says, astonish yourselves and be astonished. Blind yourselves and be blind. You know why you blind? Because your mind darkened. You darkening your mind. It said, be drunk, but not with wine. Stagger, but not with strong drink. I'm drinking wine, boy. They get them wine, probably got me a little sip of wine, which ain't no sin. You get me a little nice little cup of wine. I ain't drunk. But he said, man, don't be drunk with that. He said, you ain't drunk with that. He said, for Yahuwah had poured upon you the ruach of deep sleep. Yahuwah said, stay awake. But he said, man, you got the spirit of sleep and error. And has closed the eyes of your Nabi'im, your prophets, and covered your heads, the seers. Because they're all doing these things. The prophets. He said, Nabi'im can't do that. Prophets can't, man, prophets can do all that too. It says, the vision of all this has become like the words of a book that is sealed. When men give it to one who can read, saying, read this, he says, I cannot, it is sealed. And when he gives the book to another who cannot read, saying, read this, he says, I cannot read. And Yahuwah said, because the people draw near with their mouth and honor me with their lips, while their hearts are far from me. So you start looking at love not in word, but in deed. He said, man, your mind is far from me. He said, Satan came like a smokeless fire and filled the heart and mind with all evil and teaches all types of sin. He said, who can fight against an invisible ruach? He said, their hearts are far from me. Every imagination and thought is evil continually. He says, and their fear of me is taught is a commandment taught by men. Why? Because they have aggressive greed and rapacity. They doing all types of injustice. Therefore, I will begin to do wonderful things with this people, with wonder upon wonder, right? And the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the discernment of the discerning men shall be hidden, and you who hide deep from Yahuwah, your counsel. It says, whose deeds are in the dark, who say, who sees us? Who knows us? Surely he know your thoughts. He searched out all your works, and he gonna put you all to shame. For men of falsehood have deceived me through lies. But as for me, I'm going to meditate Hagar on his precepts and his Siyach, or his Mashiach. Right? But it says, you turn things upside down. Shall the potter be regarded as the clay? Now, you in the mother and the father house. Now you come in the house, you be like, y'all be sitting there, I'm over y'all. You tell your mother and your father in your house, you over them. And you are nothing but a little kid, you nothing but a little child. And see what happens. He said, shall the potter be regarded as the clay? I'm the potter. Now I'm the clay. You making me into anything you want. He says that the things made should say to its maker, he did not make me. Or the thing formed say to him who formed it, he have no understanding. That's like you getting out of your mother and your father. Your mother and your father created the child. Then they come out, and then you're gonna tell them, I got more understanding than you do. And you just a little baby. Right? He like, even Yahushua himself, when he was in the temple asking questions, his parents were like, you better come on. He said, don't you know you got to be on my father's business? But he still had to go home. Right? And we start looking at these aspects. But he said, man, I poured out a spirit of deep sleep. You can't even see. Right? So, reading again, it says, you turn things upside down. Shall the potter be regarded as clay? That the things made should say to its maker, he did not make me? Or the things formed say to him, who formed it? He has no understanding. Right? You going to say that to Yahuwah? You have no understanding? We just read that he formed all things by the word. The heavens, the Shamayim. So the word for deep sleep in that is Tardema. Tardema. It means deep sleep or trance. You will put in, he said, hypnotized. You have poured upon you a deep trance, hypnotized. Right? So, and it has lethargy. I poured out upon you lethargy or deep sleep. Deep sleep, lethargy. What do you say? Well, lethargic or lethargy. So lethargy means what? I poured out upon you forgetfulness or forget. You forgot. Open your hearts to the exaltation of Yahuwah. He said, man, you forgot. So lethargy is what? A lack of energy and enthusiasm. He said, you know what? Your enthusiasm and energy towards me, I pour out upon you a deep sleep, right? And I made you forget. So now your enthusiasm and energy is toward fornication, insatiableness in the belly, spirit of error and sleep, arrogance, pride, lying. Now your energy is for that. Rapacity, aggressive greed. He said, you using your energy for that. He said, I took all your energy from me and your enthusiasm from me, and I gave it, you use it for something else. He said, man, I pour that on you. Right? Other meaning for lethargy is sleepiness, deep, unresponsive, and inactivity. He said, man, I poured out upon you for me. You ain't doing it for me, you're doing it for other things. You got so much inactivity for me. We would go on a job and they be like, how many calls you made? I made 100. Right? And then they look at your talk time. Right? And they tell you how many calls you made. I only made 10 calls. You have a number of inactivity. How many calls you made? I ain't make that many. How many responses you got? So you look at a lethargic behavior, as it says here. It says lethargic causes you to feel sleepy or fatigued and sluggish. Right? So Yahuwah said, I pour out upon you all this. You sluggish, you sleeping, you fatigued, and you sluggish toward me. Right? But you ain't towards those things, those other things. Right? You ain't sluggish toward that. It says, this sluggish may be a physical or mental. Satan, who said Satan come in like a smokeless fire in the pockets of Cedric. He said, man, he going in into the field of mind. He filled it with all types of sin. Right? Mental, mind, makashaba. Right? Sluggishness may be physical or mental. So you think about lethargic, so it can be relate to underlying mental condition. That's what it is. It's ruach of deep sleep in your mind. Your mind is darkened. So it's literally destroying the thought process of the mind. Right? Literally. Lethargic. People say energy. Yeah, you just said, man, compare your one mind, go two. He like, man, that's energy. He said that they that wait on Yahuwah shall renew their strength. They shall, renew it. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not faint. They shall walk and not be weary. It's an energy source. But he said, you know what? I pour out a ruach of deep sleep. Now your energy and all that stuff you put have for me, man, you got it for sin. And when you sin, when you take your energy and you sin, it it'll drain you. That's what Satan do. He get in your mind, teach you all types of sin. He just drain your energy every week. And then next you know, he'll strip you of all your beauty. He'll strip you of all your health. He'll strip you of all your energy. He'll strip you of it. Just like he did Shamshun. He'll take your strength. So the testament of Dan, right? It says verse 2, and it says, 2, and it says, and now, my children, I am dying, and I say to you in truth, right? In Amat, and Nabi of Amat, right? He says that if you do not guard yourselves against the spirit of falsehood and anger and love truth and forbearance, you will perish. How simple is that? Falsehood, that's lying, shakir, kazab, and anger. He said, man, you're going to perish. He says, there is blindness and anger, which means you've now darkened. He said, man, you pour out a ruach of deep sleep. My children, and there is no angry person who can perceive the face of truth. The panim. Right? For even if one is his father, he treats them as enemies. Right? If he is his brother, he does not recognize him. Right? You see your brother, your sister walking down the street, be like, man, whether it's ruach or natural, you be like, I don't recognize you. I don't know who you are. Your mother and your father, now you're your enemies. You feel like, who gonna say to the potter, you the clay? Gonna tell him you don't understand. Now you're your enemy. Your mother and your own father. You supposed to honor. We have a commandment of honor your mother and your father. It says he does not recognize him. It says if he ain't Nabi or a prophet of Yahuwah, he misunderstands. If you got anger and falsehood, you misunderstand him. It says if it is a just man, he is unaware of him. If a friend, he ignores him. Anger and falsehood. For the ruach of anger ensnares him in the nets of deceit, blinding his eyes literally. And he was just like, I come to open the blind eyes. He's like, for judgment I come in the world, that they that see might become blind. And those that are blind might see. But he said, are we blind? He said, if you were blind, you would be without sin. Because I came to open it. But being that you say, I see, your sin remain, your guilt. Which means if your guilt and your sin remain, that means Satan's still in your mind. Like a smoke, teaching you all types of sin. It says, for the ruach of anger ensnares him in the nets of deceit and blinds him literally, darkens his understanding by means of a lie. Like the book of Psalms said, as for me, I'm going to meditate on your precepts, your testimonies, because men of falsehood and lies have deceived me. But it says right here, and it says, but blinds literally, darkens his understanding by means of a lie, and provides him with his own peculiar perspective. That's why Satan comes in like a smokeless fire, gets in your mind, teach you all type of sin, and then now you listening to his lies, because he's the father of lies, and then guess what? Now your understanding is darkened. Now you without form and void and darkened in your understanding. Which means if you darken your understanding, Yahuwah is light. Which means if you darken your understanding, that means you forsook Yahuwah. He said, by what means does it ensnare the vision? By hatred in the heart. Right? It gives him a peculiar disposition to envy his brother. It'll make you get your own understanding. Right? It says, anger is evil, my children, for it becomes motivating force of soul itself. That force has strange effects on the body of an angry man or woman. It dominates his soul and provides the body with a peculiar power so that it can accomplish every lawless act. Well, you get power. It says, when the soul acts, it justifies whatever is done since it lacks discernment. So when whosoever is angry, if he is a powerful person, has triple strength by reason of his anger. First, through power and support of subordinates. Second, through the wealth by which he can win by persuasive acts and triumph in justice. Third, he has natural force in his body, and through it he accomplishes evil. But if the angry one is a weak person, his strength is twice that of nature. So you can be weak, get angry, boom, this thing take you to another level. For anger always supports such persons in transgression. It will always, he said, man, he said, looking for some support. in your transgression. And he said, why is the spirit of fighting as part of the spirit of sleeping air? Because it's the support of all that. And who teach it? The liar himself, the Father. The Ruach always moves with falsehood, the spirit, at the right hand of Satan. It's at the right hand of Satan. He said, man, I'm Satan's right hand man, or right hand woman, or right hand child. He said, man, you right at his right hand. In order that such deeds may be done through savagery and deception. We talking about violence, all types of deception. He said, man, it's in that. He said, man, you better guard your mind from falsehood and anger and love the truth. Right? Verse 4 says, understand then the power of anger, that it is senseless. First, it arouses by spoken word. Then by actions, it gives strength to those. It gives strength to the one who is aroused. By sharp losses, it protrudes his mind, and thus arouses his soul with great anger. When anyone speaks against you, do not be moved to anger. And if anyone praises you as being kind, do not be elated. Don't be all like, oh yeah. Nor be carried away. Don't get all like, yeah, I'm kind, I'm this and that, I'm that. Don't get all, don't do it. Why? Neither by pleasure or by shame. First, it is pleasant to hear, and thus it sharpens the mind, to be sensitive to some provocation, and then when anyone is aroused by anger, it makes him suppose his self-esteem is justified. Right? Because I'm kind, I'm this and that, and then you get the spirit of anger. Now it's like, yeah, I have no reason to not be angry. I'm kind and joy. I'm kind in this. I'm doing all these things. But now you get angry. Now you don't want to come down from it because you feel like your confidence is justified because you were kind and did all these things. Guess what it says? If you suffer loss, if you undergo the destruction of anything, do not be alarmed, my children, because the Ruach, the Spirit, makes one desire what is transitory in order that he might be made angry over what he is missing. So now you see how these demons and these spirits work in the world. They crash the market. They crash the housing market. They take your job. You lose your job. They crash the economy. They crash the charts. You lose all your investments. And all these things you lose in the world. What are they trying to do? Incite the demons to possess your mind. Because they need you to get the spirit of anger and falsehood. They need you to get it. Why? Because it's going to darken your understanding. That's what they do it for. There's a lot of spirits working here. That's what they do it for. So if you lose something by your own actions or otherwise, do not be sorrowful. Don't be sorrowful. Because you know how some people commit suicide. They jump out of buildings. They do all types of things when they lose things. Some people do when they start losing, when they lose a family or lose a child or do all these things, right? He's like, man, he's like, or somebody shoot your child and you die, right? And he said, man, don't be, right? Because remember, these beings, these spirits need a body. They need something. They need to incite you to do something. That's the whole point. Like you see during a time where a person gets a knee in their back and then everybody starts getting violent and start destroying things. And then people thinking like, that's justified. You're not even knowing that you all in the control of Satan himself and you sitting at his right hand. He's just controlling you with his hand like this. He got you. Guess what it says? For grief arouses anger as well as deceit. Anger and falsehood together are a double-edged evil and work together to perturb the reason. And when the soul is continually perturbed, Yahuwah withdraws from him, and by law or Satan rules it. That's the whole point. So the perturbed mean what? Bothered or upset. So that's what they do. That's what Why do you think they do these things are done? Remember, silver and gold was made by the archons to what? Control man from the beginning. Like all these things that people desire, and then you lose it. I'm mad, I'm angry, I want to do something to you. But then the spirit of anger and falsehood in your mind, then you call it lying. You already got the spirit of error and sleep, so you got all these spirits. Like we're in a spiritual battle. Right? So it means to be bothered, upset, trouble in mind, mental disease, something mental. It's going to continue to do that, working to perturb, right? Continually. So Yahuwah will withdraw from you. You got to be like Job. Naked I came in the world, naked I came away. Yahuwah gives, Yahuwah takes away. If you don't do that, it keeps you from the demons that get in your mind. But if you get angry because I lost my children, you get angry because I lost all my wealth, you get angry from all these things, then guess what happened? Then you at the right hand of Satan. And Satan knows that's all he was trying to get him to do. Curse Yahuwah. That's all he's trying to get you to do. That's it. So Yahuwah will withdraw from him. And then Satan can be in control. So, and it says feeling or showing agitation. He's going to keep agitating. You ever got some soap and you rub it together? They keep agitating you. Bothered or upset. Right? So you start looking at anxious, right? Unsettled. They're trying to unsettle the mind. That's what Satan's trying to do. Unsettle your mind. Feeling of anxiety or concern. Unsettled. All these things are a part of it. Right? All these things are a part of it. So one has to, always stay in a humble mind. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself with these spirits. Right? So the Mashalih Proverbs 22:24, make no friendship with a man given to anger or off, nor go with a wrathful man, lest you learn his ways and entangle yourself in the snare. Right? So when you start looking at things, you're losing things, looking at things going down, looking at things in your life, right? You get angry for it, or you just angry for no reason. He said, and it's not a righteous anger. It's righteous. It's anger for loss. It's anger for people speaking against you. It's anger for all deceit, right, and falsehood, because you full of falsehood and you got anger. He's like, it ain't righteous anger. There's a difference between righteous anger and you got just get angry because somebody's saying something. But he's saying you keep yourself away from that. Unless you learn his ways and entangle yourself in the snare. So now you're entangled in it. And that word is off. Marshally, Proverbs 29 and 22. A man of wrath stirs up strife, because that's one of the spirits of error. Fighting and delivering the gall. And one given to anger causes much transgression. It's going to be a lot of transgressing going on. The spirit of deceit and falsehood and lie. And most of the time, the strife is going to be stirred up by a lie. Who stirs up all that? Satan. He gets into the mind like a smoke, teaches things in your mind, all sin. And that word for anger is off. Off. Right? So Mashalih 14:29 says, whosoever is slow to anger has great understanding. As you see in the testament that we just read, the testament of Don, you see how he had to go through that to get that understanding. He like, guard yourself from falsehood and anger, from lying. He said, man, he that is slow to anger has a great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly, transgression. Right? Righteousness is exalted, not folly. Right? And that word for anger is off. Right? If you look it up, you're going to go through it though. Mashalih Proverbs 16:32. Whosoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty. Right? So you better than how Yehuda be go up first, right? If you slow to anger. If you slow to anger, you better than a mighty man. You better than the three mighty men that followed David, Daud. Man, you stronger than any mighty man. Than the mighty. They best warriors. The big people that were with Yusuf in Mizraim, the soldiers. You stronger than any mighty man of Canaan, of Morocco. You stronger than any mighty man in Brazil or in Poland, who lift them big giant rocks and throw them about 5 feet. Man, he said, you slow to anger, because the best fighters are not angry. Right? It's a different type of anger. Their anger is not an outward anger. It's an inward anger. They can channel that energy. And you'll find in the end of this, it's an energy that they channel. It'll be just as calm, but they'll be angry just as much as you see a person who's mighty is angry. But here we go. It says whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit, his ruach, than he who takes a city. So you look at a whole people going to see somebody take a whole city. He say, man, if you control your ruach, your falsehood, anger, and all these things that try to come, if you can control it, your anger. He said, man, you are stronger than a person who could take a whole city by himself. Now, if you know a person who could take a whole city by himself, he said, man, you'd be stronger than him. So the word for anger is off, right? Nostril, nose, face, anger. Forbearing, forehead, suffering, nostril, quick-tempered, right? Angry, countenance, right? Faces, right? When people get angry, their face change. All these things change, right? They shape shift. People say I ain't no shapeshifter. Get angry, your face, you'll shape shift. You'll change into something else. Right? So look at this word off. So Bereshit 2:7. Then Yahuwah Elohim formed Adam from the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. Right? And the man Adam became a living creature. And Yahuwah Elohim planted in the garden of Eden in the east. And there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground Yahuwah Elohim made spring up every tree that is pleasant in sight and good for food. The tree of life was in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Right, keep these in mind. In the Aramaic Targum, Palestinian, section 1, it says, and Yahuwah Elohim created man in 2 formations, and took dust from the place of the house of the sanctuary, and from the 4 winds of the world, and mixed from all the waters of the world, created him red, black, and white, and breathed into his nostrils, or off, the inspiration of life. And there was in the body of Adam the inspiration of a speaking ruach, unto the illumination of the eyes and the hearing of the ears. And Adam became a soul of life, Kai, and a garden of Eden, or Eden, of the just was planted by the word of Yahuwah Elohim before the creation of the world, and he made there to dwell the man when he created him. So the word for man is Adam. All right, so when we start looking at this for a reason. So Adam, man, mankind, man, right? Human being, man, much, ruddy, mankind, hypocrite. So when you look at the off that's inside of man, that he put inside of man, the off, he breathed into his nostrils, the off, the anger. Understand, one has to control these things. You must, right? It says the word for ground is Adama. Right? Adam means redness. It says ground, land, ground, general, tilted. Right? Yielding, sustenance. Right? It means soil, redness, ground, land. Right? Adama. Right, so we look at the word Adam. Adam means what? Strengthen the blood. The Aleph and the Dam, right? You add it up, it was 144, which is a 9. Right, when we start adding these things up, we start understanding it according to the sequence as we spoke about before. If you go back and listen to the things that's already been said, you will clearly see that this has a deeper meaning. But then at the same time, this is Psalms 103 and 8. Yahuwah is merciful and gracious and slow to anger. He said, he that is slow to anger has great understanding. Why? Because he's in the image and likeness of the one who created him. But if you quick-tempered, then guess what happens? You're in the image and likeness of the one who you're at the right hand with, Satan himself. Right? So you see how one has to control his ruach. You be stronger than a person who take a whole city. Right? You start thinking about that. Right? It says slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love. Yahuwah is abounding in steadfast love. Like he continues to increase. He will not always chide, nor will he keep his anger forever. You know, some people want to keep it for anger. Do you understand if you continue to keep it? He like, I'm not keeping that forever. He does not deal with us according to our sins, nor repay us according to our iniquities. For as the high as the Shamayim, the 7 Shamayim are above the earth, yet there are other worlds outside this atmosphere, outside above the earth now. So please don't be thinking like you know everything. You don't. So great is his steadfast love toward those who fear him. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. Or he'll give you some love too. It says, as far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgression from us. Yahuwah ain't like man. He ain't like Adam. The ones who ain't got control of their anger, who sit with the right hand of Satan. He ain't like that. He not. So the testament of Gad, or God, right? H1 or God, or H1410, 12 patriarchs. For as love would quicken even the dead, and would call back them that are condemned to die, so hatred would slay the living. And those that sin vehemently, it would not suffer to live. For the ruach of hatred working together with Satan, seated in the mind. Why? Because he's smokeless fire. Go up in your nose and teach you all types of sin. Through hastiness of spirits, in all things to men's death. He said, man, you got guard yourself from falsehood and what else? Anger. For it, if you don't guard yourself from these spirits, you will perish. Right? But the ruach of love working together with the Turah of Yahuwah and long suffering to the salvation of men. We should seek this truth eagerly for our salvation and for the salvation of your men. It says, hatred therefore is evil. It constantly mateth with lying. Right? These spirits are error and sleep. It constantly does that. Speaking against the truth. Like as soon as you speak the truth, it boasts in arrogance of his sin. That spirit on the inside just boasts with arrogance. And it says, speaking is the truth, and maketh small things to be great, and causes the light to be darkness, darkening your thoughts and your understanding. And calleth the sweet bitter, and teacheth slander, and kindleth wrath, and stirreth up war inside, and violence, and all covetousness. It filleth the heart with evils and devilish poison. Right? These things, therefore, I say to you from experience, my children, that ye may drive forth hatred, which is of Satan, and cleave to the love of Yahuwah. Righteousness casteth out hatred. Right? Because righteousness is exalted. Humility destroys envy. Right? For he that is just and humble is ashamed to do what is unjust, being reproved not of another, but of his own heart, mind, because Yahuwah looketh on his inclination. Why? Because Ra, or evil, was here way before that. Or you start looking at evil inclination, that was given to us. He said, Cain, you have the ability, either you rule over it or rule over you. Just before Cush and Mizraim even put it as a god, or Ham. So Luke 8:17. For nothing hidden that will not be made manifest, nor anything secret that will not be known and come to light. We're going to find it out. Yochanan 3:20. For everyone who does wicked things hates the light, because they got the spirit of hatred, because they speak against the truth, and does not come to the light, lest their work should be exposed. You a liar. Right? He said, what do you mean? You're a liar. You practice deceit. You have falsehood. You're a thief. You steal. You stole. You all became for Yahushua was a thief and a robber. You're a thief. You stole all them people, stole all the people's money. He said, all that came before me is a thief. Even he told you Kazab, he's like, man, I haven't even, he said, every man going talking about hear the word of Yahuwah, and I haven't even sent you there yet. And they already talking about hear the word of Yahuwah, and I ain't even tell them to say that. You ain't even got there yet, you Kazab, but yet they talking. Mostly Proverbs 10:18. The one who instills hatred has lying lips. You know how many people got hatred? On YouTube, they got hatred. On these little videos, they got hatred. They be doing all these, making these little skits, they got hatred. They got hatred and they got lying lips. I have nothing against that person. You concealing it, right? Lying lips. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The Satan has it's easy for him now. It's very simple. It's easy for him. All you gotta do is have somebody say something about you, and then he sow your mind with anger and falsehood, and next thing you know, he taking and dominating your whole mind. You sitting at his right hand, he's just controlling you. Why do you think that if somebody speaks against you, don't even get angry. Don't even pay it. Don't even get angry. Why? Because if you do, then he creates deceit, it creates anger, and then it creates all types of transgression. Right? The word for conceal is katsa. He's who conceal hatred has lying lips. To cover, conceal, overwhelm. That's what Satan tried to do. He tried to get you to cover it up. Don't tell nobody. I'm your friend. So he can overwhelm you and take control and be in control of you. To be covered, clothe yourself. Clothing, secrecy, clad, close, clothe, conceal, flee, right? Katsa. So the word for hatred is sinna. Hating, hatred. Hatred of man, hate, red. Remember Adam was red, Adama was red, Adam, ruddy, redness. Adama was redness, the clay, what he was made from. He was made red, black, and white, right? And then you see hatred, sinner, hatred. He that conceals hatred has lying lips, sinner. The word for lion has lying lips is shakar, or shakar, shin, kuf, rash. Shakar, shakor, all of them spelled with shin, kuf, rash. They mean dark, darkening your mind, black, darkness. It means to lie, deception, right? Disappointed, falsehood, deceit, fraud, falsehood. Remember, guard yourself from anger and falsehood, from lying, right? Falsify, false, self-deceived prophets, nabi'im, arrogant men. He said, I'm going to put you all to shame now. Untruth, that's what it is. Untruth, a sham, a liar, a lie, a lying. Falsehood and anger come from the lying lips, Satan himself. For he was a liar from the beginning. He the father of it. So Proverbs 17:4, an evildoer listens to wicked lips, and a liar, shakar, gives ear to mischievous tongue. Right. So when you have all these behaviors, you're an evildoer, you listen to wicked lips, you listen to Satan's voice, and a liar. Right. And then you'll become a liar, and then you'll keep giving ear to a mischievous tongue. Right. So the word for evildoer is ra, right? Bad, evil, or ra'ah. To be sad. Why does he want to make you sad? To make you grieve. He said it stirs up anger. Think about it. Somebody broke your heart, a relationship, or an individual, right? Or you lost something, right? You grieve and you all sad and you grieve from it. And guess what happens? It'll stir up anger and you remember all the bad stuff they did and you start getting mad. You get angry for no reason. Then it's disturbing your mind. And it's continually poking at you and protruding your mind, calling you to be unsettled in your mental thoughts. Why? Because he said you can't accept the loss. You can't accept what happened, right? And then guess what happens? Then Satan uses that and he controls your mind. And that's what he does. It says be broken. Right? When you broken, that means you did something wrong. That's only when you're broken. People are like, I'm broken. I'm just broken always. So you must be sinning always. The fear of Yahuwah is joy and gladness and a merry heart. Right? And it says, make to be merry, good for nothing, wicked doer. Right? You be a wicked doer of the word. He said, you can still do the word, but you still be wicked. Many people kept all the feast days and the cogs and the muads and all these things, and they were evil doing it. You'd be a wicked doer of the word. He said an evil doer listens, right? Kazab, be attentive, pay attention, to prick up the ears, to hearken, to attend. He said when they spoke of Sirach, when the rich man speak, everybody esteem his words to the clouds, but when the poor man speak, they despise him. He said when the rich man say things he ought not to say, the people come, and his friends come, and justify his words. But when that poor man speak, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Man, you'll pay attention. You'll pick up the ears. He said, man, you'll pick up the ears. Right? So the word for wicked is aven, right? Or aun, if you take out the vowels. It says to pant, to hence, to exert oneself. You be exerting yourself. You listen to wicked, you exert yourself to listen to wicked lips. Wickedness, sorrow. You be listening to sorrow, grief, trouble, iniquity, wickedness. Trouble, vanity. All that stuff, all this vanity. All your works are unfruitful, unprofitable. All these things. Well, you despise wisdom and nurture, just like we read about. It says idolatry. You worship an idol in your mind. Ezekiel, Kazab 14:1, it says, son of man, these men, these women have set up idols in their in their mind. Who put it there? Satan came in there like a smoke, filled the mind with all evil thoughts and teaching them sin. He said, who can fight against this invisible ruach? It says affliction, evil, false, idol. Right? So the word for lips is safa, right? You listen to kashab, you'll be attentive to lips, wicked lips, right? The word for lips is language, speech, shor, right? You listen to wicked speech, language. That's what he does. Satan does is control you. That's what he does. He do all these things to control your mind. Yahushua came to destroy the works of Satan. So the word for mischievous is ha'ur or hava. If you take out the vowel point, it's ha'ur, right? And then it says desire, engulfing ruin. It said you listen to a mischievous tongue. Mischievous is desire, engulfing ruin, destruction. That's all all the tongue talks about. Calamity, desire, ruin in your life. Yahushua said, I came that you might have life, Kai, and have it more abundantly. You add up Kai, the Kak, and the Yod, Yod equals to 9. He said, I come that you might have life, strengthen the blood. Just like Adam, you Adam equals 144. I came that you might have life, Adam, that you might have life, Kai. But he said, man, engulfing ruin and destructions. Falling, desire, ruin, calamity, iniquity, mischief, naughtiness. That's all they talk about. Very wickedness. So the word for tongue in Proverbs 17:4 is lashon, a language, right? Tongue, organ of speech. I gave it a mouth to who? Adam, a speaking ruach, to enlighten the eyes to illumination. When Adam was first formed, he didn't have none of this stuff, grief. He didn't have none of this stuff, misery. He didn't have none of this stuff that we got. He didn't have any of these things. Why? Because he feared Yahuwah at that time. He didn't have none of this stuff. An evil speaker, a babbler. So Marshall Lee 1922 said, what is desired in man is steadfast love, and a poor man is better than a liar. So you see that poor man outside, you tell a Kazab, you a liar, It means an untruth, a false, deceptive thing, a lying tongue. That's how anger and falsehood come about. That's where the spirit of error and sleep come from. All of them work together. They all work together. He said, man, that poor man is better than you. Right? You know, that poor person that you despise with the sign, right? Tell me we'll get a job. But just know that poor person out there, when you tell a lie, is better than you. Right? A Kazab. That means an untruth. So Mashali 26 and 28, a lying shakir tongue hates its victims, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin. He said, you conceal hatred. Man, you hate your victims. That's why Satan lied to you. Because he hates you. That's why he come in your mouth like a smoke and teach you all types of sin in your mind and fill your mind with all evil. He said, who can fight against this invisible ruler? He said, he fills the mind with hate and victim and flattery mouth, work of ruin, right? So Proverbs 30 and 6 says, do not add to his words lest he rebuke you and you be found a liar, a Kazab, telling untruths. Two things I ask of you, deny them not before I die. Remove far from me falsehood, which is anger, and these are all, we see at the right hand of Satan, and lying. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food that's needful for me. Lest I be full and deny you, and say, who is Yahuwah? Lest I be poor and steal and profane the name of my Elohim, Yahuwah. He says, a lie, verse Sirach 20 and 24, 24 to 27, a lie is a foul blotting man, yet is continually in the mouth of the untaught. A thief is better than a man that is accustomed to a lie. A thief is better than a liar. But they both shall have destruction in the heritage. It doesn't matter. You're a liar and you're a thief. Yahushua said, all that came before me were thieves and robbers. And you're a liar and you're your father Satan. So Yahushua says, all y'all. He said, I'm the good shepherd. The disposition of a liar is dishonorable, and his shame is ever with him. He said, I'm going to put you to shame. He said, surely Yahuwah knoweth all your thoughts. He searched you out. He seen all your works. He said, I'm going to put you all to shame. He said, false men with lying tongues that deceive me. He said, I'm going to put them all to shame. It says, a wise man shall promote himself to honor with his words, and he that have understanding will please great men. Right. So the testament of Shamuan, it says, and now my children, pay heed to me. Beware of the spruach of deceit and envy. For envy dominates the whole man's mind. So this is all about mental diseases, mentally. This is all about the mind. Envy, falsehood, lying. This is all about your mind. This ain't got nothing to do with nothing else. And does not permit him to eat or drink or do anything good. Rather, it keeps prodding him to destroy the one who envies. He envies. He or she, whenever the one who is envied flourishes, the envious one languishes. Out of the fear of Yahuwah, I chastened my soul with fasting for 2 years. And I came to know that liberation from envy occurs through the fear of Yahuwah. Freedom. Freedom. If anyone flees to Yahuwah for refuge, the evil spirit will quickly depart from him, and his will will be eased. It'll just dissipate. It'll go away. For then on he has compassion on whom he envied, and has sympathetic feelings with those who love him. Thus his envy ceases. It's an evil spirit. It's a demon, a shadim, or a jinn, like they say in the Arabic. Right? That's what it is. It's a jinn, it's a shadim, it's a demon. It's an unseen ruach, invisible spirit. These things are in sight. You can actually protect yourself from these things. Mashali 8 and 13. The fear of Yahuwah is hatred of Ra, evil. Hate these things. Hate evil. Hate pride. Hate arrogance. The way of evil, or that word for evil is ra'ah, and perverted speech I hate. I have counsel and sound wisdom. I have insight. I have strength. Why? Strength comes from learning. Wisdom comes from learning. Gifts come from learning. Tahalim Psalms 40:4. Ashar is the man, or happy is the man who makes Yahuwah his trust. If that trust in Yahuwah, understand the truth. The fear of Yahuwah is wisdom, is what? Gladness, joy, merry heart. It says, who does not turn to the proud, to those who, it says, who does not turn to the proud, to those who go astray after Allah, Kazab. Because that's how the spirit of lying comes in, the spirit of error and sleep, the spirit of falsehood and anger and deceit and envy all come from lying lips. Who's the father of lies? Satan himself. He an invisible ruach. He comes in like a smoke. So the word for asher or ashar is happiness. Barak, blessed. Happiness. Trust. Right? Some people say trust. That's all you got to do. Just trust. Right? Tahalim Psalm 7:14. Behold, the wicked man conceives evil and is pregnant with mischief and gives birth to lies. Mischievous tongue. Spirit of error and sleep. They don't give birth to lies. He makes it a pit, digging it out, and falls into a hole that he has made. His mischief returns upon his own head, and on his own skull his violence descends. If digging a ditch, you fall right in and you hit your head. Boom. He told Yahushua, say, man, jump out of this mountain. You give his Malachite charge over you. You gonna listen to that liar, that lying lips? That's a liar. Why would you listen to him? He a liar. Yahushua don't get ear to mischievous tongue, no lying lips, no hawur, no hava, tongue, lashon. Psalms 101:7. No one who practices deceit shall dwell in my house, and no one who utters lies shall continue before my eyes. You ain't gonna stay there forever. Mashallah, Proverbs 19:9. A false witness will not go unpunished. You're a liar. That's only what a false witness is. You'd be like, when Yahushua was there, he brought many false witnesses. They are all liars. They work together with Satan. They are their father to Satan. The one who lied on the Yirmiyahu, as we spoke about before. He is his father Satan. They work together with him to stop the word of Yahuwah, right? And he who breathes out lies, Kazab, will perish. What he say? He said, man, beware, keep yourself from falsehood or lying and shakir and anger. For if you don't, you will perish. You will perish. So, Mashallah, Proverbs 24. Haughty eyes and a proud heart and the lamp of the wicked are sin, and the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance. But everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. The getting of treasures by lying lips, shakir tongue, is a fleeting vapor and a snare of death. Right. Liars. Right. So, Mashallah, Proverbs 12:19 says, truthful lips endure forever. Right? You have truthful lips, it won't darken your mind to the truth. But a liar, shakir, is but for a moment. Just like it was in the beginning. The earth without form and void. It was only for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil or ra. Guard your mind from it. That's an evil spirit. But those who plan shalom, peace, have joy. The fear of Yahuwah is joy. Shalom, plan peace, right? Peace comes to those who make peace. It says, no ill or avin befalls Anah, or befalls the righteous, but the wicked are filled with trouble. Lying lips are an abomination to Yahuwah, but those who act faithfully are his delight. So the word for a moment is raga. Right? Raga, stir up. Right? When we start looking at stir up, right? It says stir up, quiet. Right? It's only for a moment. It don't stir it. Lying lips don't only stir up for a moment, right? To cause, to rest, to harden. Lying lips hardens the heart. Right? So the word for befalls is anah. It says it won't come to the righteous, right? Anah. to meet, approach. No wickedness, right, shall approach, to be allowed to meet, to approach, to meet, to befall, deliver, or seek it, or quarrel with the righteous. It won't, unless he gets permission from the father and the mother, Yahuwah. That's the only way. That's the only way it happens. Can I have permission? Yeah, you got permission. But other than that, you can't. You can't even approach. So Tahalim, Psalms 144. Bow your heavens, O Shamayim, O Yahuwah, and come down. Touch the mountains so that they smoke. Flash forth the lightning and scatter them. Send out your arrows and rout them. Stretch out your hands from on high. Rescue me and deliver me from the many waters, from the hand of foreigners, whose mouths speak lies, and whose right hand is the right hand of falsehood, or shakir, or shakar. Right? When you look at, he talks about, my children, be diligent to guard yourself from falsehood and anger. For if you don't guard yourself from this ruach, this spirit, you will perish. In the book of Psalms, it's telling you, deliver me from those who speak lies and those who have the right hand of falsehood, those arrogant men, right? Those arrogant, that he's going to put to shame, who speak lies. He said, as for me, I'm going to meditate on your pekul, your precepts, your commands, your mandates. Right? So as we got through majority of that, we start looking at these aspects. But then now we're going to look into a story, right? So this is Bereshit 25 and 19. These are the generations of Yitzhak, or Yitzhak, right? Abraham's son. Abraham fathered Yitzhak, and Yitzhak was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean of Panaram, the sister of Laban, the Aramean, to be his wife. And Yitzhak prayed to Yahuwah for his wife because she was barren, right? That's what he did. He prayed to Yahuwah because she was barren. And Yahuwah granted his prayer, right? And Rebekah, his wife, conceived, right? She conceived. The children struggled together within her. And she said, if it is thus, why is this happening to me? So she went to inquire of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah said to her, notice when things happen, you know what people do? You did this to me. You did this to me. He's like, hold up. Let me go inquire of Yahuwah and see why this is happening to me. Right? Because remember, Yahuwah creates calamity. He creates peace. He creates shalom. He wounds, he kills, he makes a lot. He do all these things. He said, why don't you go inquire of him? So what you doing it for, right? It says, 2 nations are in your womb. So Yahuwah talking to her. How many people do that? He said, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples from within you shall be divided. The one shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. When her days to give birth were completed, behold, there were twins in her womb. The first came out red, all his body like hairy cloak. So they called his name Esau, or Esau. And Yitzhak, right, was 60 years old when she bore them. It says, and when the boys grew up, Esau, or Yitzhak, was a skilled hunter, a man of the field, while Yaakov was a quiet man, dwelling in tents. And Yitzhak loved Esau, or Su, because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Yaakov. Once, when Yaakov was cooking stew, Esau came in from the field, and he was exhausted. And the Asu said to Yaakov, let me eat some of the red stew, for I am exhausted. Therefore his name was called Edom. Yaakov said, sell me your birthright now. And Asu said, I am about to die. And what use is a birthright to me? Right? And Yaakov said, swear to me now. So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Yaakov. And then Yaakov gave Asu, or Esau, bread and lentil stew. And he ate and drank and rose and went away. And thus Esau despised his birthright. Right? So you see, that she had two nations in the womb. You had Esau and you had Yaakov, and they were struggling in the womb. And you see that Rebekah inquired of Yahuwah. And you can see this paraphrasing of this story, and you see how he was a skilled hunter, a man of the field, and Yaakov was a quiet man, dwelling in tents, right? So this is the Bereshith, same verse, 25, Targums, Jonathan, Aramaic Targums, Jonathan, version of that same verse, right? And it says, these are the generations of Yitzhak, the sons of Abraham, because Yitzhak features were like the features of Abraham. The son of men, it says, the sons of men said, in truth, Abraham begot Yitzhak. Right? Because he had the same, he looked just like his daddy. Or how you say, like they say, you look like your father. And Yitzhak was 40 years old when he took as a wife Rebekah. So he was 40 years old, and it says that he had a child when he was 60. Right? It says the daughter of Bethuel the Armenian, who was from Padoram, the sister of Laban, the Armenian. And Yitzhak went to the mountain of worship, the place where his father had tied him. And by his prayer, Yitzhak changed the intentions of the Kadosh one, Barak Abihi, that what he had decreed concerning his wife, because she, like him, was barren for 22 years. 22 years. And because of him, the intentions of the Kadosh one, Barak Abihi, he changed from what he had decreed concerning him. So you look at 22 years, you can look at 22 letters of the alphabet, right? And he also was childless. He was able to beget children. He was childless. He was able to beget children, and Rebekah, his wife, became pregnant. Right? It says the children pushed one another in her womb like men doing battle. And she said, if such is the distress of one who gives birth, why then do I have children? And she went to the schoolhouse of Shem the Great to beseech mercy from before Yahuwah. Right? And Yahuwah said to her, 2 peoples are in your womb, and 2 kingdoms issued from your womb shall be separated. The one kingdom shall be stronger than the other, and the other shall be subjected to the other, to the younger. If the children of the younger keep the commandments and the law, right? It depends. If one keeps the commandments of the law, he says, and the older shall be subjected to the younger, if the children of the younger keep the commandments in the law. The Torah. Verse 24 says that when the 270 days of her pregnancy for giving birth were completed, behold, there were twins in her womb. Right? And it says, verse 25 says, the first came red like a hairy cloak, all over, and they called his name Esau, because he was born fully completed, with hair of the head, a beard, teeth, and molars. So you imagine a child come out with molars, a beard, man, and he got some teeth. That's a grown man, a grown person coming out of there, right? It says, then his brother came forth, his hand holding on to Asu's heel, because Esau was firstborn, right? The older. So they called his name Yaakov. Yitzhak was 60 years old when she bore him. When the boys grew, Asu became a skilled hunter, able to hunt birds and wild beasts, a man who would go out into the field to kill people. Esau did this. It was he who killed Nimrod and his son Hanak. But Yaakov became a man who was perfect in his works, ministering in the schoolhouse of Eber, seeking instructions from before Yahuwah. And Yitzhak loved Asu, because there were deceptive words in his mouth. But Rebekah loved Yaakov. Right? The day Abraham died, Yaakov boiled dishes of lentils and went to comfort his father. Asu came from the country, and he was exhausted because he had committed 5 transgressions that day. So you look at Esau, he came out first. He had full head of hair, beard, teeth, molars. Right? He was a mighty man. He was a hunter, as we read in the other version. In this version, he was a mighty man, a hunter. He hunted animals. He did all these things. But then Esau was something else. Asu. He was a transgressor. Right? He said he committed 5 transgressions that day. He had practiced idolatry. He had shed innocent blood. He had gone into a betrothed maiden. He had denied the life of the world to come. And he despised his birthright. Esau. And Esau said to Jacob, let me taste, I pray, of the red dish, for I am exhausted. Notice the dish is red. Right? Keep that in mind. Therefore he called him Edom. Right? Jacob said, sell me your birthright today, as on the day you are to inherit. And Esau said, behold, I am about to die, and I am not to live again in another world. So of what use is this birthright to me, or a portion in the world? Why? He came up first. He's like, man, what use is it? He said, I'm hungry, I'm about to die. Right? But Jacob said, swear to me as on that day. So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. So Jacob then gave bread and dish of lentils to Esau or Esau, right? And he ate and drank because he's at the point of death. But he committed 5 transgressions. Yeah, he was a mighty hunter. Yes, he had teeth and molars and hair and all these things, and he was the first one out. It says, and Jacob then gave him bread and dish of lentils to Esau, and he ate and drank. And he rose and went away. Thus Esau despised the birthright and the portion of the world to come. Right? He despised it. Right? So we start looking at these things. We start looking at Esau, they say killed Nimrod. Right? He killed people. He did all these things. He hunted animals, hunted creatures. He was a transgressor. He did all these things. Jacob was a perfect in all his works, seeking the instructions of Yahuwah, right? Of Eber, in the schoolhouse of Eber, right? And all the places where Shem was, right? And you see all these things. But you see Esau was totally opposite, right? Totally opposite. So this is the book of Yashar, chapter 27. It says, and Esau at that time, after the death of Abraham, frequently went into the field to hunt. And Nimrod, king of Babel, said the same was Amraphel also frequently went with his mighty men to hunt in the field and to walk about with his men in the cool of the day. And Nimrod was observing Esau all the days. Right? So you got Nimrod observing Esau all the days. For a jealousy was formed in the heart of Nimrod against Esau all the days. Right? So you start looking at jealousy and envy. Right? We just talked about jealousy and envy. They all work together in these spirits and these demons. They got envy and jealousy toward each other. Esau and Nimrod, Esau. So jealousy, when envy gets in, you start seeing all types of workings of Satan. It's in verse 4 says, and on a certain day, Esau went into the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod, walking in the wilderness with his 2 men. And all his mighty men and his people were with him in the wilderness, but they removed at a distance from him. Right? They were with him, but then they moved at a distance from him. The same way we look at Yahushua when Yahushua was about a stone cast from him. It says, and they went from him in different directions to hunt. And Esau concealed himself for Nimrod, and he lurked for him in the wilderness. Right? And Nimrod and his men that were with him did not know him. And Nimrod and his men frequently walked about in the field at the cool of the day, and to know where his men were hunting in the field. And Nimrod and the 2 of his men that were with him came to the place where they were. And when Esau started suddenly from his lurking place, he drew his sword and hastened and ran to Nimrod and cut off his head. Now we just read that Esau killed Nimrod. Right? You see how they had a form of jealousy and an envy toward each other. Right? Now they all come out from the same family of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. But you see when spirits of envy and jealousy get in, you'll start seeing all types of things take place. Right? So this verse 8, and it says, and Asu fought a desperate fight with the two men that were with Nimrod. And when they called out to him, Asu turned to them and smote them to death with the sword. Because Nimrod, Asu, he committed 5 transgressions. He came out with full beard, hair. He said he was ruddy. He came out hairy. Right? He came out red. Right? He came out just like Adam. Right? Verse 9 says, and all the mighty men of Nimrod, who had left him to go to the wilderness, heard the cry at a distance. And they knew the voices of those two men. And they ran to know the cause of it. When they found their king and the two men that were with him lying dead in the wilderness, lying there in the wilderness. And when Asu saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled. Right, they were coming to get him. And they escaped. And Asu took the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod, and with which Nimrod prevailed over the whole land, and he ran and concealed them in his house. So his father gave him some garments, and Esau stole them, right? And you start seeing, which allowed Nimrod to prevail over the whole land. We're not going to get into that, but we will. And then Asu took those garments and ran into the city on the account of Nimrod's men. And he came unto his father's house, wearied and exhausted from fight. And he was ready to die through grief. He was ready to die through grief when he approached his brother and sat before him. He was ready to die because of grief and sat before him. And he said unto his brother Yaakov, behold, I shall die this day. And wherefore then do I want the birthright? Because I'm the oldest. Yahushua said, before Abraham was, I am. Right? He said Asu was like in grief when he approached his brother Yaakov. He said Yahushua was despised and acquainted with grief. We hid it as our faces from him. And he approaching Yaakov. Oh, you mean Yasharal. You mean the 12 tribes. Right? Let's get into the story. It says, and Yaakov acted wisely with Asu in this matter. And Asu sold his birthright to Yaakov, for it was so brought about by Yahuwah. All by Yahuwah. But you see how Nimrod was slain by Esau. But it's for a reason. Right? So this book of Jubilees, 1915, because we did see that Asu did a lot of transgressions, Esau, right? But we start looking at these things, right? It said Abraham already knew the wickedness of him, right? This is Jubilees 1915. Abraham loved Yaakov, Esau, but Isaac loved Esau or Asu. And Abraham saw the deeds of Asu, and he knew Yaakov should his name and his seed be called, because Yaakov was righteous in all his works. He was at the schoolhouse of Eber. Esau was a transgressor. He was what they call a hypocrite. Why would he be esteemed as the person going to continue on Abraham's lineage? He said he called Rebekah and gave commandment regarding Yaakov, for he knew that she too loved Yaakov more than Esau. And he said to her, my daughter, watch my son Yaakov, for he shall be in my stead on the earth, and for Barak in the midst of the children of men, and for the kabod of the whole seed of Shem. The whole seed of Shem. You know where Rebekah went to the instruction house and to the house where Shem was to inquire of Yahuwah? For I know that Yahuwah will choose him to be a people for possession unto himself above all peoples that are upon the face of the earth. And behold, Yitzhak, my son, loveth Asu more than Yaakov, but I see that thou truly lovest Jacob, and I still further to thy kindness to him. And let thine eyes be upon him in love, for he will be a Barak unto us on the earth. Let thy hands be strong, and let thy heart rejoice in thy son Jacob, for I have loved him far beyond all my sons. He will be a Barakah forever. His seed will fill the earth. So he said, I saw Esau, his deeds. He saw he was evil. He saw he was raw. He saw the evil of Esau. So the word for Esau is Ashu, or it's a Asu, but they had Esau, but it's Asu. It means hairy. His name means hairy. It means rough, handling. Rough, because he had had a whole bunch of hair, a beard. He had a whole bunch of things. He had full hair. He had hair on him. That's his name called Esau, hairy. Asu, right? Asu. So the word for hair, right? In that verse, when Esau was born, he said he was born hairy. The word for hair is se'ar. Se'ar. It means hair, animals. Hair, garment made of hair. Right? Hairs. He had a bunch of hair on him. He had teeth. He had a beard. He had full head of hair. He was born hairy. He had a lot of hair on him. So the word for red is Adamani. Red, ruddy, like Adam. Adam, the word Adam means ruddy, reddish. He was born from the Adama. Adama means red. So when you look at him, look at Esau, Asu, he said he was born red. He was born Adami. Adamni, red, ruddy, hair or complexion. He was a red-skinned man, like ruddy, like Adam from the Adama, Adamni. He was Jacob's brother. He was Jacob's brother. That's who Asu or Esau was. He was Jacob's brother. He came out first. He was made ruddy like Adam, but he was something different from Adam. How do we know this? Right? We just read that Adam's name also means hypocrite. So you can see Esau being born ruddy and red, but he was a hypocrite. He was a transgressor. He went against all the commands. He was evil. He was deceptive. Right? So this is Bereshit 27, 1 through 41. It says, when Yitzhak had grown old, his eyes were dim to see. For when his father tied him, he looked upon the throne of Kabod, and from that time on his eyes began to grow dim. It says he called Asu his older son on the 14th of Nisan, and said to him, this is the Aramaic Targums. This is during the time of Pesach. He said to him, my Ben, behold, tonight the heavenly beings praise Yahuwah of the world, and the storehouses of the dews are open. And he said to him, here I am. And he said, behold, I am old. I do not know the day of my death. So now take your weapons, your quiver, and your bow, and go out into the field and hunt for game. Then prepare the dishes such as I love, and bring them to me, that I may eat, so that my soul may baraka you before I die. Notice that it's the 14th of Nisan, and he said to him, go out there and get me some game, so that I may baraka you before I die. It's the 14th Yom of the first month. And Rebekah heard through the Kadush Ruach, while Yitzhak spoke with the Asu, his son, and Esau went out of the field to hunt game and bring back. And Rebekah said to her son Yaakov, saying, Behold, tonight. So Rebekah heard through the Ruach Chudash, while Yitzhak spoke with Asu, his son. She heard by the Ruach. And Rebekah said to her son, saying, Behold, tonight the heavenly beings praise Yahuwah of the world, and the storehouses of the dews are open. And I heard your father speaking with your brother Asu, saying, Bring me game and prepare a dish for me to eat, so I may Barak, or he say, Barak you before Yahuwah before I die. And now, my Ben, obey me and do what I command you. This is during the 14th day. Isaac getting ready to die. And it's the 14th day. The father is getting ready to die. Go now, verse 9 says, Go now to the sheep shed and bring me from there 2 fat kids, one for the Pesach and one for the festival offering. And I will make them dishes for your father, such as he loves. So it's talking about Pesach, and it's talking about the festival offering. Right? Talking about first day unleavened bread, and talking about Pesach. It says, Then bring them to your father to eat. Right? So he may Barak you before his death, because Jacob feared sin. He was afraid that his father might curse him. And he said, right, because he was afraid, because Jacob feared sin. He was afraid that his father would curse him. And he said, Behold, my brother Asu is a hairy man, and I am a smooth-skinned man. Like, how am I going to do this? This is all during Pesach. Right? This is all during Pesach. This is in the 14th day. 14th of Abid, or nice. They said Nisan, but it's Abid, right? Says, verse 12 says, What if your father touches me, and I appear in his eyes as one who laughs at him, and he bring upon myself a curse and not a barakah? But his mother said to him, If he blesses you with blessings, let them come upon you and upon your children. But if he curses you with curses, let them come upon me and upon my soul. Notice that Rebekah said by the Ruach Chudash, let the curses, if he put curses on you, let it fall on me. That's the same thing Yahushua said. He said, the reproaches and the reproach thee, it fell on me. That's what he said in Tehillim 69. He said, the reproaches them, the reproach thee, it fell on me. Rebekah said, remember, she heard about the Ruach Chudash, and she said, if curses come on you, let it fall upon me and upon my soul. Only obey me. But it's the 14th Yom, Nisan, and her father is getting ready to die. And he said, prepare the Pesach. Right. It says, only obey me and do not bring them to me. So he went and took them and brought them, and his mother prepared dishes such as his father loved. And Rebekah then took the precious garments of her older son Asu, which had come down from the first man. That day Asu had put them on, so that they remained with her in the house. And she put them on Jacob, her younger son. So she put on the garments, because Asu didn't wear them. So he put on the garments of Esau and put them on her son, and disguised them as Esau, the firstborn, because he was a hairy man. And Jacob didn't have that much hair. Right? And the skins of the kids she put on his hands and on the smooth part of his neck. Right? And she arranged in the hands of her son Jacob the dishes and the bread that she had prepared. He went in to his father and said, My father, my Abba. And he said, Here I am. Who are you, my son? Jacob said to his father, I am Asu, your firstborn. Right? I'm your firstborn. I have done as you have. He said, I have done as you said to me. Sit up, I pray, be seated, and eat of my game, that your soul may barak, may be blessed, right? That your soul may bless me. And Yitzhak said to his son, How did you find it so quickly, my son? How did you do that so fast? That's the same thing he told Judas Yehuda, when they told him, he said, whatever you're going to do it quickly. He said, how you found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because Yahuwah, your Elohim, prepared it for me. And Yitzhak said to Yaakov, come closer. I pray that I may touch you, my son, to find out whether you are really my son, Asu, or not. Right, so you see the deceptiveness of Yaakov, because he like, Yahuwah prepared it for me. But in actuality, it was his mother. Right? And then you see Yaakov drew closer to Yitzhak, his father, who touched him and said, this voice is the voice of Yaakov, but the touch of his hands is like the touch of the hands of Asu. And he did not recognize him, because his hands were hairy like the hands of Asu, his brother, or Esau, and he barakah him. And he said, are you really my son Asu? And he said, I am. And he said, serve me that I may eat my son's game, so that my soul may barak you. And he served him, and he ate, since he had no wine with him. And Amalek provided some for him, and brought of the wine that he had stored up in its grapes since the days of the beginning of the world. He didn't have no wine. But the Malak brought the wine that he had stored up in its grapes since the days of the beginning of the world. It's all on the 14th Yom of the first month. And he gave it in the Yaakov's hand, and Yaakov handed it to his father, and he drank. And his father Yitzhak said to him, come closer, I pray, and kiss me, my son. And he went closer and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his clothes and barakah him, and said, see, the smell of my son is like the smell of a fragrant incense that will be offered on the mountain of the sanctuary, which has been called the field which Yahuwah barak, and where it has pleased him to make his Shekinah dwell. It says, may the memory of Yahuwah give you of the goodness of the springs that come up from, and make the vegetation of the earth grow, and below in abundance of the grain and the vine and the wine. Let nations and all the sons of Esau be subjected to you. 1. And let the kingdoms of all the sons of Keturah bend down before you. 2. You will be master and ruler of all over your brothers. 3. And let your mother's sons come forward to salute you. 4. Those who curse you, my son, will be cursed, like Balaam, the son of Beor, and those who bless you will be Barak, like Mashah, the Nabi, the scribe of Yasharal. When Yitzhak had finished baraking Yaakov, and Yaakov had just gone out about 2 steps from the presence of Yitzhak, his father, his brother Asu came in from his hunting. Now the memory of Yahuwah withheld clean game. Now the memory of the voice of Yahuwah withheld clean game from him, but he found a dog and killed him. So now you got Esau looking for something in the field, but he said the Ruach of Yahuwah, the voice of Yahuwah, withheld the game from him. He wasn't going to allow him to kill no animals, not during no Passat. I wonder. But he found a dog and killed him. And he also made dishes of him and brought them to his father. And he said to his father, so he literally killed a dog and brought it to him to eat. And he said, let my father arise and eat his son's game, that your soul may barak me. So you see he eating flesh, eating meat, eating animals, killing animals and creatures. You see everybody killing animals and creatures and sacrificing animals and destroying Yahuwah's creation. But yet Esau made in Yahuwah's image, supposedly, and ruddy, like Adam, but yet he killing Yahuwah's creation. He said, I gave Adam authority to fish the seed and follow every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. And he also said that he gave you every herb-yielding seed is for food. Bearing fruit is for food, not flesh, not the flesh of a dog, not the flesh of game or animals. We won't get into that, but we start looking at it. It's during Passat. Right? And it says, and Yitzhak trembled in very great trembling when he heard the voice of Asu, and when the smell of the dish came into his nostrils, like the smell of the fire of Gehenna. And he said, who was this that hunted game and brought it to me? And I ate all that he brought me before you came in. And I baraka him, and even so, he will be barak. So you see all these things. Who came up first now? Because Asu came out the womb first, but he was a hypocrite. Then Yaakov now going up first, before Asu, and he received the baraka that was supposed to be his in the beginning. But being that Asu was stronger than him, he came out with full teeth, a beard, and all these things, and he was hairy and ruddy like Adam, and he was stronger than him, right? You see him coming up, but he said the older gonna serve the younger, right? But then we start looking at this, right? And this is the 14th of Nisan, during Pesach, and the offerings, and they killing animals. Notice how everybody's killing game, but then you start looking at Rebecca saying, reproaches of them, reproach thee fell on me. You see how the father's getting ready to die on the 14th day, and you see how he's telling him to go and get some game out of the woods, get him a sacrifice, so he may baraka him. Right? You see all these things. Right? So then here, continue on. And when Esau heard the words of his father, so he heard the words that his birthright or his baraka was given to somebody else, he heard the words of his father, he cried out with exceedingly great and bitter cry. And he said to his father, Abba, baraka me also. And he said, your brother came in with wisdom and kukma and received your baraka from me. Who did he get the wisdom from? He said, Rebecca got about a Ruach HaKadosh and told him what to do. She said, if anything happened to you, if he curse you, let the reproaches and reproach thee, and let it fall on me. Like Yahushua Mashiach himself. So let's finish this out. And he said, his name has rightly been called Yaakov. He has deceived me twice. He has took away my birthright, and behold, now he has received my baraka. And he said, have you not kept a baraka for me? And Yitzhak answered and said to Asu, Esau, behold, I have appointed him ruler over you. Huh? You put him ruler over me? And I have placed all his brothers before him as servants. And I have sustained him with wheat and wine. So go and leave me. For what can I do for you, my ben? Asu said to his father, have you but one baraka, father? So you, Abba, so you start looking at once somebody who is not a man, he shall lie. Neither he's a son of man, he should change his mind. Notice how Yitzhak wouldn't change his mind. Right. But he said, Father, Abba, barak me also. And Asu raised his voice and wept. Right, he cried out exceedingly great cry, and then now he raised his voice again and he wept. And Yitzhak answered and said to Esau, behold, in the goodness of the fruits of the earth shall your dwelling be, and far from the dew of the Shamayim above, and you shall put your trust in your sword, entering into every place and causing alarm as you go. But you shall be subjected to your brother. But if you go astray and cause his children to abandon the observance of the commandments of the law, you shall break the yoke of his slavery from your neck. Right? So if he can cause you to not keep the commandments of the Torah, he said you'll break the yoke of his slavery from your neck, because Asu don't want to be in subjection, or Esau don't be in subjection to you. Why? Because if he does, then guess what? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Then you will be able to rule, and you will break that slavery from your neck. Because you cause them not to keep the commandments. You cause them to abandon the observance of the commandments in the Torah. That's what Asu endeavored to do. Verse 21 says, and Asu harbored hatred in his heart against his brother. There it is. Who are you working with? This is the spirit of hatred. Lying and hatred. Hatred. He that concealeth hatred had lying lips. He hatred. He got hatred in his heart. He said he worked together with Satan. Work together with Satan to do what? To get the children to abandon the observance of the commandments in the Torah, so he can break the yoke from off his neck. So he won't be your servants. Right? But here we go. And he says his brother, because it says, and Esau harbored hatred in his heart against his brother, and Yaakov, because of the order of the Barakah, in which his father had Barakah him. And Asu said to himself, I will not do as Cain did, or Cain, who killed Abal while his father was alive, but his father then begot Seth. Rather, I will restrain myself until the time when the days of mourning for the death of my father come, and then I will kill my brother Yaakov, and I will be murderer in air. So look at Asu not receiving the Barakah. You see him harboring hatred in his heart. Now he's working together with Satan. Now he's become a murderer in the air. Now he's concealing hatred. Now he's concealing hatred. Now he listened to a mischievous tongue, which is of the devil, Satan, telling him to murder his brother, even as Cain. You see him crying out twice. You see him cried out exceedingly after he heard the words of his father. And then after he heard that he ain't going to receive a Barakah, he raised his voice and wept again. And then they harbinged hatred. You see all these things transpiring. Are in the 14th month, 14th day of the first month, Abib. So Yeshayahu 63:1 says, Who is this that comes from Edom in crimson garments of Basra? He who is splendid in apparel, marching in the greatness of his strength. It is I, speaking in righteousness, mighty to save. Save who? Why is your apparel red, and your garments like his who tread in the winepress? I have trodden the winepress alone, and from the peoples no one was with me. I trod them in my anger and trampled them in my wrath. Right? Their lifeblood spattered on my garments and stained my apparel. For the day of vengeance was in my heart. Just like Asu. You see Esau? He's like, I wait for my father to die. I wait for my Ab to die. And his mourning takes place. And then I will kill my brother. For the vengeance was in my heart, and my year of redemption had come. I looked, but there was no one to help. I looked for pity, and there was no one. I was appalled, but there was no one to uphold. So my own arm brought me salvation, and my wrath upheld me. And I trampled down the peoples in my anger, and I made them drunk in my wrath, and I poured out their life blood on the earth. I poured out their lifeblood on the earth. I poured out their lifeblood on the earth. Because when you pour out blood on the earth, what does it make? It makes a dama. It makes a dama. It makes it redness. Right? He looked for pity and he found none. He looked for help. It was none. But his own arm brought salvation. And his apparel was red. Right? So the word for crimson garments is to be leavened, to be sour, to be leavened, to be red, to be fermented, sour. He said, they gave me poison for my food. He said, for my drink, they gave me sour wine. They gave me sour wine. But he said, their blood shall spill on the earth. Their blood shall spill on the earth. So the word for red is ruddy. Who is that in red garments? You mean ruddy, red. Ruddy. Oh, you mean Esau, Asu. Ruddy. Redness. Adami. Adama. Red, ruddy. Just like in the image and likeness. The one who made all things. He was hairy. He had full head of hair, beard, and teeth. And he was stronger than Yaakov. And he came out first. But then Yaakov, through his wisdom and kukma, got the Barakah first. Got his birthright. Because he was at the point of death. Asu was at the point of death. And he took his birthright. Right? So Yochanan 129, the next day they saw Yahusha coming toward him and said, "Behold, the Lamb of Yahuwah who takes away the sin of the world. Go out in the field and give me game that I like." That's what Jacob said. But not even knowing it was the 14th day of the first month, a time to offer the Pesach. And behold, the lamb, the game, or how you say, the animal of Yahuwah that's going to take away the sin of the world. The sin of the world. He's saying, bring it to me, because the father was getting ready to die. Right? Matthew 26:48. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying, "The one I kiss is the man, seize him." And he came up to Yahusha at once and said, "Greetings, my teacher," and he kissed him. Then Yitzhak told Yaakov, "Come a little closer, give me a kiss. Come a little closer, give me the kiss," because it was the 14th day, right? Nisan, or Abid, for the first month. Go prepare. Go give me a lamb. Go give me a game. Come and kiss me. Because the father is getting ready to die. So Yahusha said to him, "Friend, do what you came to do." Then they came up and laid hands on Yahusha and seized him. Just like you go out in the woods and you get you a nice little game and bringing it to Yitzhak, right? And behold, one of those who were with Yahusha stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck the servant on the thigh. Struck the servant of the thigh of the high priest and cut off his ear. Then Yahusha said to him, "Put your sword back in your place. For all who take the sword will perish with the sword. Do you think that I cannot appeal to my Ab, and he will at once send me more than 12 legions of Malachim? But how should the scriptures be fulfilled that it must be so?" How are you going to fulfill all that with Asu? How are you going to fill all that with all his transgressions? How are you going to fill all that with him stealing his birthright? How are you going to fill that when he cut off Nimrod's head? How are you going to fill all that when he was about to die after he committed murder? How are you going to destroy the works of Satan? How are you going to destroy envy and jealousy and wrath? How are you going to destroy the offering of animals and bringing them for Pesach? How are you going to destroy all these things and deceit and bearing the reproach? He said, "I look for pity, there was none. I look for help, there was none." But yeah, their blood going to spill on the ground. So this is Tahalim 50:12. It says, "If I were hungry, I wouldn't tell you." Yitzhak said he was hungry. He said, "I told him." He told him he was hungry, and Rebekah by the Ruach HaKodesh heard. And he told Yaakov to go out in the field. And he went out, and she cooked it, and she prepared it, and she put on Esau's garments and put it around his neck, just so that he can feel him and think it was Asu, and disguise him. Right? It says that the bar was made flesh, Yahushua Mashiach, and it dwelt amongst men. But they didn't know it was him. But had they known it, they wouldn't have crucified him and stole his birthright. "If I were hungry, I wouldn't tell you, for the world and its fullness are mine." He did that. That was in the beginning. "Do I eat flesh of bulls and drink the blood of goats? Do I eat flesh? Like eat sack? Do I eat flesh? Like Asu? Do I eat flesh? Offer to Yahuwah sacrifice of thanksgiving, and perform your vows to Yahuwah, and call upon me in a day of trouble, and I will deliver you, and you shall kabod me." Right? Daniel 9:27. "And he shall make strong a covenant with many for 1 week." That's how long Pesach is in unleavened bread. That's when he told them to bring the game. And they were looking to get a barakah during that time from the Father, bringing sacrifice and offering. And amazingly, it was just like Cain and Abel, right? And Cain and Abel had to bring their offering on the first month, the 14th day. And what happened? Cain's offering was not accepted. Asu's offering, it wasn't even accepted. And he brought a dog out of the field to give to Yitzhak. It wasn't even accepted. And Asu, just like Cain, who harbored your hatred, who listened to Satan, he said, "I'm not going to do like Cain. I'm going to wait till my father dies, and then I'll kill my brother. Because the spirit of hatred working with Satan. And on the wings of the barn, it says, and he shall make strong the covenant with many for 1 week. And for a half a week, he shall put an end to the sacrifices and oblation, sacrifice and offerings. And on the wings of abominations, shall come one who makes desolate, until the decreed end is poured out on the desolator. Until it's time to destroy the one who made desolate. But on the wings of abomination shall come one who makes desolate. So the word for wing in that verse is wing. Winged is kanaf. Skirt, corner of a garment. Flying, feather, winged. Wings. On the wings of abomination, in the midst of the week, he's going to call all the offerings and sacrifices and say, do I eat flesh? Yahuwah says. Do I eat these things? Do I take delight in blood and bulls and goats? I don't take delight in game from the field and dogs and offerings of dogs like humans. He said, I'm going to cause all these things to cease. Eat all these things that men do. All these offerings and going to the field and killing animals. He said, I'm going to cause this stuff to stop. I'm going to cause all this stuff to stop. Nimrod, Nimrud, and Asu. And all these things to stop. So Yukanah 18:1. When Yahushua had spoken these words, he went out with his disciples across the brook of Kidron, where there was a garden. Because he put him in the garden. And when he and his disciples entered, now Judas, who betrayed him, also knew the place, for Yahushua often met there with his disciples, the same place you see Adam was. Adam. You mean ruddy, red, Adama, like Esau, Adami, right? He was red, ruddy. Let's see what happened. For Yahushua often met there with his disciples. Because Asu said, I'm going to kill my brother. That's what he said. I'm going to kill my brother because he worked together with Satan. Who is Judas working together with? Satan. He getting ready to kill his brother. So Judas, having procured a band of soldiers and some officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees, went there with lanterns and torches and weapons. And then Yahushua, knowing all that would happen to him, he said, knowing that all that happened to him, came forward and said to him, whom do you seek? They answered him, Yahushua of Nazareth. And Yahushua said to them, I am he. Judas, Yehuda, who betrayed him, was standing with them. And when Yahushua said, I am he, they drew back and fell to the ground. Then one of the Baraka that Yitzhak gave to Yaakov, he told him, he said, they're all going to bow and worship you. They're all going to bow down to you. He's talking about Edom. He was talking about all your brothers. They said they're going to bow down to you. He said the sons of Edom. He said the sons of Eber. He said the sons of Keturah. They all going to bow to you. He said, so if you seek me, let them go. This was fulfilled, that the word that had been spoken, of those whom they gave me, I have lost not one. Then Simon Kepha, having a sword, drew it and struck the high Kahan, the priest, the servant, and cut off his right ear. And the servant's name was Malchus. So Yahushua said to Kaf, put your sword in your sheath. Shall I not drink the cup that the Father has given me? Shall I not drink it? Shall I not fulfill this? Shall I not drink this cup? So this is Matthew 27:28. And they stripped him and put him on a scarlet robe. Who is this in red garments? Ruddy, red like Asu, Esau. Ready like Adam, like from the Adama. He said, man, their blood going to spill on the ground, as it said in Yeshayahu 63. He said, who is this in red garments? It says, on him, it says, and twisting together a crown of thorns, thorns and thistles, just like Adam. From the sweat of your brow, he said, from the work that you'll do. He said, till you die. Who said he was about to die? The father. Isaac said, I'm about to die. He said, make me a sacrifice, so I can make barakah before I die. It said, until a child is born, until a ben is given, and the government should be upon his shoulders. He be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty Elohim, the Shaphat of Shalom, the everlasting Abba, the Prince of Peace. Yahushua said, I and my Father are one. The Father is getting ready to die. And says, so they mocked him, saying, Hail, Malachah the Yahudim. And they spit on him and took a reed and struck him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of a robe and put his own clothes on him and led him away to be crucified. They put a scarlet robe. The word for scarlet robe is kakidos in Greek. It means crimson colored, scarlet colored. You mean crimson? Like, who is that in red garments? Right? Who is that in Adam garments? Ruddy garments, red garments. Who is that? It's written of me to fulfill these things. Right? Psalms 18:7 it says, then the earth reeled and rocked, the foundations also, and the mountains trembled and quaked. When Yahushua cried out. What happened? It quaked, it crumbled, because he was angry. Wasn't Esau angry? Esau was angry. He said when he heard the words of his father, what did he do? Man, he cried out. He was angry. Remember, he had falsehood and he had anger. He was a hypocrite. He was sleeping with a betrothed. He killed men. He did 5 transgressions. It says smoke went out from his nostrils and devouring fire from his mouth, glowing coals flaming forth from him. The word, the bar. He bowed the heavens and came down. He bowed them. Thick darkness was under his feet. He rode on the cherub and flew. He came swinging swiftly on the wings of the wind. What did Daniel say? On the wings of the abominations. It wasn't his abominations. It was our abominations. And he said he going to cause the sacrifice and oblations to cease. He said, do I eat flesh? Do I drink delight in the blood of bulls and goats? He said, I'm going to cause all this stuff to stop. Yitzhak. I'm going to cause it to stop. Asu. I'm going to cause this to stop, Jacob. I'm going to cause this to stop, Rebecca. Reproaches and the reproach thee fell on me. The curses, if he curse you, let it fall on me. Just like Rebecca said. He said, I'm going to cause all this to stop. He said he made darkness his covering, and his canopy around him, thick clouds of dark with water. Right? Matthew 27:45. Now from the 6th to the 9th hour there was darkness over the land until the 9th hour. He put darkness under his feet. He put darkness under his feet, and he flew swiftly on the wings of the wind, on the wings of abominations, of people's abominations. He said, I'm going to cause us to stop. Right? Matthew 27:46. And about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried out. When Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a really loud cry, with a loud voice. And he said, my father, do you have a barakah for me? And guess what Yahushua said with a loud voice? He's saying, Aliyah, Aliyah, lama sabachthani. That is, my Yah. Why hast thou forsaken me? Why don't you got a barakah for me? Why don't you have a barakah for me? A blessing. And some of the bystanders hearing it said, this man is calling for Aliyah. Because they're the ones who stole his birthright. Because he was laying on his life for them, so they can have a barakah. It says that one of them at once ran and took a sponge and filled it with sour wine. Isn't that what the word meant? Kametz. Sour. They gave him poison for his food. Sour. Sour wine. And it's amazingly, sour wine is red. Who's that in red garments? What do you mean? He said, I'm going to spill your blood on the ground. When they pierced Yahushua in the side, what came out? Out came blood and water. And it spilled on the ground. It says, and put it on a reed and gave it to him to drink. He gave it to him to drink. But the other said, wait, let us see whether Yahweh will come to save him. Because remember, there was no wine for Yitzhak during Pesach when he gave it, when his son Yaakov gave it to him. And he said the Malach had some wine that was here from the beginning, from the grapes. And Yahusha cried out with a loud voice again and yielded the Ruach. After Esau found out he wasn't getting a Barakah, he cried out and wept bitterly again. And you know what he said after that? He said, I'm going to wait till my father died. And then I'm going to kill my brother. And guess what he says? And he yielded up the Ruach. Yahusha said, I and my father are one. The father and the Ben just died. The Ben. So what did Esau just say? He said, who is that in red garments? He said, man, I'm going to tread upon the winepress. I'm going to kill my brother. I'm going to spill his blood on the ground. His innocent blood, like Abel spent blood was spilled on the ground. His innocent blood. He said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to wait till my father died. So Revelations 19:11. Then I saw the Shamayim open, and behold, a white horse. Remember, he made Adam white, pale, white, black, red, black, and white. Ruddy, black, and white. You know how it tells us to put away anger? Because you got red horse, black horse, white horse. You come like a warrior, and then you got pale horse. It says the one sitting. Guess what it says? Behold, a white horse. The one sitting on it is faithful and true. In righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes are like the flame of fire, and his head are many diadems. And he has a name written that no one knows, but he himself. He is clothed in a robe dipped in blood, and the name by which he is called the word of Yahuwah. And the armies of Shamayim are arrayed in fine linen, white and pure, were following him on white horses. From his mouth comes a sharp sword, with which to strike down the nations, and he will rule them with a rod of iron. He will tread the wine presses of the fury of his wrath. The wrath of Yahuwah, the Almighty. On his robe and on his thigh shall be a name written, Malach Malakim Adan Adanim. He said, who is this coming in red garments? Who is this? He said he looked for pity, he looked for help, and there was none. He looked for pity in Tehillim 69. He said he found none. He said, reproach them, reproach he fell on me. He said they gave me poison for my food. For drink they gave me sour wine or kamats. Who is this? Right? He said after the father died, Asu said, I'm going to kill my brother. Because he stole my birthright. He stole my birthright for some food. Amazingly, when they gave the Yahusha sour wine and some food, what did Esau? He was at the point of death after he killed Nimrod. Remember? And he said, what? I'm about the point of death. What's the point of this birthright? And he said, and Yaakov said, hurry up and give me your birthright. Swear to me. And he swore to him, and Yaakov gave him the food. And he despised his birthright. That's the same thing Yahusha did. But you start looking at these things. Yahusha was manifest to destroy the works of Satan, to fulfill the scripture, to cause the sacrifice and abortion of the seas, to cause the game hunting and all of the animals being killed, and cause the sacrifice and abortion of the seas, and bring it back to how it was in the beginning, before ruddy men were hypocrites. Before your brother were hypocrites. Because Esau is your brother. Asu is your brother. Asu is your brother. And you look at all the transgressions that Esau did, and you look at yourself, are you doing the same transgressions that Esau did? Because if you're doing the same transgression Esau did, you despise your birthright too. No matter what color you are, no matter what skin color you are, ruddy, red, black, white, pale, purple, peach, brown, it doesn't matter. If you do evil, you evil. If you do good, ta'ub, you good. Right? It says Romans 12:19. Beloved, do not never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of Yahuwah. That's what Yahushua's wrath is. Because Cain wanted to slay his brother. He wanted to kill him. He wanted to take vengeance. He wanted to avenge. Just like he killed, remember, you reap what you sow. He killed them. He killed Nimrod and cut off his head, and the men were pursuing him. Right? He said, but leave it to the wrath of Yahuwah, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Yahuwah. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. Why do you think Yaakov gave him some food? If he is thirsty, give him drink. I'm at the point of death. I'm at the point of death. For by so doing, you will heap coals on his head. But do not be overcome by evil, anger, falsehood, lying tongue, deceit. But overcome evil, Ra. That's only you're going to beat Ra, is with good, the good part of your mind. Or you will harbor your hatred and conceal hatred like Asu, and then you have murderous thoughts in your mind. And then Yahuwah will receive none of your offerings. So who is Asu? Who is Esau? He is your brother. Asu is your brother. But not only is he your brother, he can also be you. You could be working together with Satan. Because he's like a smoke. He goes into your mind and fills your mind with all evils. He fills your mind with evil, and he teaches you all wickedness and evil and sin. You see all the sins Asu committed? He was working together with Satan, and Satan filled his mind with all types of sin. But Yaakov was a perfect man in all his works. He was a smooth man who dwelt in tents. And what happened? He got the Baraka. He got the Baraka. So this is the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 17. Basura, good news, gives power over demons. You see that how important it is to acknowledge of Yahuwah and the observance of divine obedience, which not only protects those who believe from the assaults of demons, but also gives them command over those who rule over others. Amazingly, it gives you command but also gives command over those who rule over others. And therefore, it is necessary for you who are the Goyim nations to betake yourselves to Yahuwah, or to join yourselves to Yahuwah, and keep yourselves from all uncleanness, that the demons may be expelled and Yahuwah may dwell in you. That's what it's about. And at the same time, by prayers, commit yourselves to Yahuwah and call for his aid against impotence of the demons. For whatever things you ask, believe and you will receive. But even the demons themselves, in proportion as they see faith grow in man or woman, that in that proportion they depart from him, residing only in that part which something of infidelity still remains. But for those who believe with full Amunah, they depart without any delay. For when a Ruach has come to Amunah of Yahuwah, it obtains the virtue of the heavenly water, by which it extinguishes the demons like a spark of fire. Enlightenment, illumination in the center of the mind. Like a spark of fire. Nimrod, like Asu. But when you get placed to Satan, you get placed to it in your mind, and he fills your mind with all evils. Now you see why Abraham saw the wicked deeds, and he said, Yaakov is going to carry on. Yasharal, he's going to carry it on. Because he's not evil like Asu. Even though Asu is the firstborn, the older will serve the younger. The older will serve the younger. And it was just like he said. The only way the older don't got to serve the younger no more, you have to get the code to abandon the commandments in the Torah and the things written, so that you may break the yoke off your neck. And the only way you're gonna do that, you gotta work together with Satan. And that's the only way. Right? So the Testament of Zabulon says, "You also, my children, have compassion toward every person with mercy, in order that Yahuwah may be compassionate and merciful to you. Overcome evil with good. In the last days, Yahuwah will send his compassion on the earth, and whenever he finds compassion and mercy in that person, he will dwell." He's going to dwell. "What house will you build for me?" To the extent that a man has compassion on his neighbor, to that extent Yahuwah has mercy on him. Asu, Esau, Esu. "For when he saw me, he was moved with compassion. Whomever you see, do not harbor a resentment, my children. Love one another and do not calculate the wrong done by each other to his brother or sister. This shatters unity and scatters all kinship and stirs up the soul to hatred, to deceit, to anger, to falsehood, to lying, to arrogance, to pride. It stirs up the soul to insatiableness in the belly, chicanery, trickery, envy, jealousy. It stirs up the soul. It stirs up the soul. That's what it does. He says, he saw me and he was moved with compassion. Whomever he sees, do not harbor resentment, my children. Love one another, and do not calculate the wrong done by each other to his brother or sister. This shatters unity and scatters all kinship and stirs up the soul. He who recalls evil receives neither compassion nor mercy. None. So Colossians 3 and 5, put to death therefore what is earthly in you, sexual morality, impurity, passions, evil desire. These are all things that Esau did. And covetousness, which is idolatry. Esau worshipped idols. He coveted other men's wives. He slept with a betrothed. He worshipped idols. Right? On the account of these, the wrath of Yahuwah is coming. Do not avenge yourself, but leave it to the wrath of Yahuwah. It says, and these you too once walked, when you were living in them. Esau. But now you must put them all away. Anger. Why? Because anger and falsehood, if you don't keep yourself in these spirits, you'll be at the right hand of Satan. And guess what happens? You will perish. Wrath. Wrath stirs up all spirits. Right? Wrath stirs it up. Why? Because you get angry, you're quick to anger. Wrath is you're fast to anger. It says malice, intent to do evil, like Esau. Lurking in the wilderness to cut somebody's head off, like Esau, like he did Nimrod. Slander. Obscene talk from your mouth. Do not lie one to another. Do not practice deceit. Do not lie one to another. Yaakov, Esau. Because the spirit of lying is error and sleep. It's error and sleep. It stirs up wrath and anger. It does these things. Seeing that you have put off the old self with its practices, and having put on the new self, which is being renewed in the knowledge after the image of its creator. Renewed in the image of his creator. That's how Adam was made, ruddy. He was made from the Adama. Before he fell, he didn't have any of these things. He didn't have these behaviors. When Esau was born, he was filled with Satan entered his mind like a smoke and filled his mind with all sin. He was evil. He was robbed. He committed 5 transgressions. He even despised his birthright. It was a murder, and he killed people. It says here, there is no Greek, Yehudi, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave, free, but Mashiach is all in all. Put on then as Yahuwah's chosen ones, Kadosh and beloved and compassionate hearts, compassion, hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, patience, bearing one another. And if you have a complaint against another, forgiving each other, as Yahuwah has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. Why? So you can extinguish the demons in your mind, like a spark of fire. And above all these, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony, and let the shalom of Mashiach rule in your hearts, to which indeed you are called into one body. And be thankful, and let the word of Mashiach dwell in you richly, teaching and admonishing one another in all wisdom, singing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs with thankfulness in your hearts to Yahuwah. Do I eat flesh? Offer to Yahuwah sacrifice of thanksgiving. And whatever you do in word and deed, do everything in the name of Yadon Yahusha, giving thanks to Yahuwah, the Abba, through him. You got to put them all away now. It ain't just, you got to put them all away. So Ode Shaloma 7:18-28. And the Most High, or Adiyun, shall be known in his Kodeshim, his saints, to announce those that have songs of the coming of Yahuwah, that they may go forth to meet him, and may sing to him with joy, and with the harp in many tones. And the seers shall come before him, and they shall be seen before him. And they shall praise Yahuwah for his love, because he is near and holdeth, and hatred shall be taken away from the earth. Along with jealousy, it will be drowned. Right? You can see that Asu had jealousy and envy in his heart. And so they were struggling in the womb like a battle. It says, for ignorance has been destroyed. Remember we talked about in the beginning of the slides? We talked about ignorance. It said ignorance is evil. He said ignorance has been destroyed. He said we must seek the truth eagerly, because the knowledge of Yahuwah has arrived. They who make songs shall sing of the kind of Yahuwah, the Most High, and they shall bring their songs, and their hearts shall be like the day, like the sun, like the dawn. The day dawn and day star arise in their hearts. And like the excellent beauty of Yahuwah, their pleasant song. And there shall neither be anything that breathes without knowledge, nor anything that is dumb. You won't be mute. For he has given a mouth to his creation, like he gave to Adam. He gave a speaking ruach to open the voice of the mouth towards him, to praise him. Confess ye his power, and show forth his Khan. Hallelujah. Right? So when we start looking at Asu, we start looking at Yaakov, we start looking at Yitzhak, we start looking at deception, anger, falsehood, lies. We look at these things with illumination in mind, being ignorant of knowledge. We must seek it eagerly. We must know that these things are there, and Satan, like a smoke, can enter a mind and teach wisdom and knowledge according to the evil way, and to give man would fill his mind with all types of sin, and every imagination and thought would be evil continually. We see the transformation of the thoughts in the mind, and we understand that through Yahusha and his power and his word is the bar that Yahuwah created the world with. You can destroy and distinguish these demons in your mind like a spark of flame, like a spark, like water on a spark. It'll distinguish you. For ignorance is gone, for the knowledge of Yahuwah has arrived. Right, so when we start looking at Esau, Asu, our brother, we start looking at Esau as our brother and not as our enemy, but really as our brother. We look at a person whom Yahusha died for he destroyed the works of Satan. He had to die. He had to come in the form of Asu, Esau, to destroy the works of Satan. For whatsoever written aforetime was written for our learning, that we, through comfort of what is written, of the scrolls, of the Miglah, of the Bar, Daleth Bith Rosh, that was written in the past, might have hope, might have tikva for the future, and eternal life, and everlasting. We pay no more evil, but overcome Ra with good. For the meek shall inherit the earth. Or you mean receive the birthright. For the meek shall inherit the earth, receive the inheritance. Shalom.